exactly that. No, but Jack's exactly right. You know, you're going out and you're playing against Scotland and they're booing you and it gets you up for the game. And when you're going out for a derby, you know, Man City versus Man U, I was lucky enough to go to Celtic Rangers as well. And the atmosphere, once the fans are giving you some sort of abuse, they just say, we're in for a game. And it almost makes you play better. I know, like, and that's what you want to be a footballer for, to show you can do it on the big occasions. So I didn't care if anyone booed me or tried to put me off my game. That would only just make me play better.
Gareth Southgate looking quite thoughtfully around Wembley at the moment. He's in his technical area. He's got a dark suit on, but he's got a white version of the blue knitted polo shirt that he wore in the pre-tournament friendly. So he's looking around. There was a big cheer from the Scotland fans just 20 seconds ago as the camera in the stadium focused on Billy Gilmour. We'll continue our build-up to England against Scotland. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, full commentary here on 5 Live, after we go to Russell Fuller watching the all-British match at Queen's.
England against Scotland here. Jack Draper, definitely of England, world number 309 against Cameron Norrie, with the Scottish father, albeit Welsh mother, and a house in England, and it's very much going Norrie's way. He's won the first set 6-3. He leads the second set by 3 games to 1. Earlier, Dan Evans knocked out by the top seed Matteo Berrettini, who won their quarter-final 7-6, 6-3.
Ian Carter's watching day 2 of the US Open.
England going very well here, and what a story it is as well, with Richard Bland, 48 years old, the British Masters champion, 5 under par for his 16 holes today. At 6 under par, the 48-year-old is leading the US Open by 2 shots from the overnight leader Russell Henley, who has yet to tee off. It's not been such a good day for Rory McIlroy, though. 2 over par for the 11 holes he's played. He's tumbled down the leaderboard, and at 1 over par is currently 7 shots off the lead and in a share of 30th place.
Thank you, Ian. The Andrew Balding trained alcohol-free won the Coronation Stakes on day 4 at Royal Ascot. The opening day's play at the World Test Championship between India and New Zealand was abandoned without a ball being bowled in Southampton. England's women frustrated by the weather in Bristol. India were 83 for 1 when play was called off for the day in their second innings, and that means they're still 82 runs short of making England bat again. Let's go to Newcastle now on 5 Live. Sport Rowan Bridge is with England fans.
Yes, I have to say, football in this town is the closest thing there is to a secular religion here. So it's perhaps not surprising that there's 700 tickets for the fan zone in front of me sold out in a few hours. You have just missed out on the entire place singing Wonderwall. The atmosphere is absolutely electric. I can tell you, the unofficial dress code this evening seems to be World Cup squad T-shirts. So you can take, there's quite a few 1982, we've got 66, and a few Euro 96 tops in there. I've seen a few Shearer and Teddy Sheringham tops as well. I'd say there is an awful lot of confidence amongst this crowd that England are really going to give Scotland a pasting this evening. They're near northern neighbours here in Newcastle. So there is a lot of confidence in what's going to happen. And this is a town that has a reputation for enjoying a drink and enjoying a night out. And the people here are certainly hoping England get their weekend off to a cracking start.
So that's the England fans in Newcastle, next to the fan zone in Glasgow, and James Shaw.
Yes, I see Rowan Bridges Wonderwall, and I raise him Scotland Will Party, sung to the tune of Seven Nation Army, which seems to be the famous, most favourite song here at Glasgow Green on the banks of the Clyde. About 3
at Wembley. You can hear Yes Sir I Can Boogie as Scotland head down the tunnel. Their fans dancing away to our left and applauding the players as they finish the warm-up. The one thing I would say, John Murray, actually, is what is different tonight compared to the game against Croatia is that there were only 2 or 3 little pockets of Croatian fans on Sunday. Scotland have got an end tonight. There is a big travelling section of Scotland fans, but they have a whole end which brings them together.
Well, there are at least 2,600 of them. But of course, with the social distancing and the fact that they are all so spaced out in there, it means that they are across the 3 tiers to our left. And it makes it look like a great deal more than 2,600. And I mean, I know, having been in central London today, there are thousands of people, and everyone's been advised not to come to the stadium if you don't have a ticket. But it is a completely different atmosphere inside the ground, and it'll be very interesting to see what sort of backdrop it provides to the match.
Well, also, if it's Sunday's anything to go by, the social distancing tends to disappear as the game goes on, and there really was an England end in that game against Croatia with everybody grouped together. That's I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong, I'm just saying that is what happened in the game on Sunday. And Pat Nevin, from where you are pitch side, looking back down Wembley Stadium, you're the opposite end to where all the Scotland fans are. That must be quite a sight actually for you.
Do you know, I thought it would be quite saddening in a way, because when we've been here in the past and the Scotland fans are in their massed ranks at that far side, I thought it's going to be sparse and it's going to be sad. It does not look sad at all, because they've been bouncing along, singing along with every word when eventually the Scotland songs were played that. And I think it did lift the atmosphere, didn't it? You know, the 3 lines had been played, but when the Scottish songs came on, every Scotland fan was up there singing, dancing, and it's lifted the whole thing. So yeah, there might be 2.5. By the way, I think there might be more than 2,000. Is it 600 tickets? Yeah. When I walked out of the commentary position you're in there, right? I walked down, and that's an English section, yeah?
Yes.
Well, unless a hell of a lot of English fans are wearing kilts tonight, I think some Scotland fans have got tickets in there as well.
They're not sad yet.
Yeah, you are on one wind-up mission tonight, Chris Waddle. Let's hear from the Scotland camp. John McGinn now, who doesn't want the players to get carried away with the atmosphere.
It's important for us to use the knowledge of what it means to the country and the supporters, but use our heads at the same time, be cool, composed, and bring our strengths to the game. We don't want to take all our passion at the game or our emotion, because that's what makes Scotland a force to. In these games, I think when you look at the record between Scotland and England, I was surprised with how tight the results were. The English media would have you believing that the gap was humongous, so it's up to us on Friday to prove that. We'll try and be cool customers, but we don't want to take the passion out of us too much as well. I think we'll always be underdogs, no matter if we won on Monday or not. We've got a population of 55 million, we've got a population of 5. They've got worldwide superstars all throughout their squad, so we're always going to be underdogs, but hopefully it will suit us, and we've got a few wee superstars in our team as well, so hopefully we can play well and cause them problems.
David Beckham is here this evening. He's just been shown on the camera, although it also looked like he was being told off by a steward for not having his face mask on, so he winked at the steward and put his face mask back on. John McGinn there. Steve Clarke has said this evening on the selection of Billy Gilmour, he says he brings good ball possession, he likes to make his teams play, he's done it for Chelsea, and I'm sure he can do it for Scotland. Interesting on the playing 2 strikers, he was asked if that was positive. He said you can read it that way, playing 2 strikers is brave, we want to try and cause England as many problems as we can, hopefully we can get the right result. Jack Wilshere, look, John Stones and Tyrone Mings are experienced Premier League defenders, but it's not often you get a dual strike force now in top-level European football. So this will be something a little bit different for them.
Yeah, I think it's important that England don't get too carried away when they have the ball. I think it's important the fullbacks push on, and that's why the changes have come in, and I think they're right. But also you have to remember that Declan Rice is in there. I think you'll see him holding a little bit more. In the game the other day he was pushing on, pressing a little bit more, but I think if the fullbacks are going to have that license to push on and try and create from wide areas, Dec is going to have to be in and around the centre-back, just to give them that little extra support, because, yeah, you're right, Scotland will have two up there and it's a different problem for them to face.
So it becomes sort of like a shield in front of them, or maybe even part of a back three if necessary at times.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you see in the build-up, when England are building up, if Dec drops in to make it a free and allows the fullbacks to push on a little bit higher. But I think out of possession he's going to be really key tonight in protecting them and stopping them getting the ball and bringing it down and bringing your likes of McGinn and Gilmore into play.
And maybe actually, Mike, England's fullbacks are going to have to tuck in a bit to try and help their two centre halves if there are two up front, which Luke Shaw has done for United. He's been part of a back three, and Reece James has for Chelsea as well been part of a back three this season.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tactical game. You know, I mentioned with Scotland, it definitely is more attacking. They dropped McTominay back into the back three, took out Cooper and Hendry, and Tierney, who we've seen marauding for Arsenal at left back the majority of the season. So this is a attacking move from Scotland, no matter how, you know, if it pans out that way in the game, it's yet to be seen. Gilmore wants to be in there controlling it, and this Scotland team will give England some problems on the counter-attack. I have no doubt about it. We know the energy that Robertson has on that side, and even Tierney will get forward. I mentioned the 3 assists that he were. This will be an interesting game. You know, if Scotland was to get the first goal, you know, it opens the game right up. I think they're going to play with that ball possession. It's just whether England allow them. We talk about James and Shaw. Of course they can do that job tucking in because they're comfortable. And that's why when you asked me about the fullbacks, it didn't really matter who played, because I think all our fullbacks are comfortable. Kyle Walker's played in a back three also. But yeah, James and Shaw can definitely do that role if they need to be inside as well.
The rain has started to fall here at Wembley as we go through the teams coming out show, and that London banner unfurled again, and shortly the shirts of the two teams will be unfurled as well. Giant shirts by the volunteers who are out on that Wembley pitch. Talking about the two Scotland strikers, to then talking about the England striker and the England captain. Does his role need to be different, or not necessarily his role? Does he need to perform differently tonight, Jack, to how he did on Sunday?
Well, it's a completely different game, chappers. We're going to have a lot of possession. Scotland, I expect to be in a low block. I think Kane needs to try and stay as high as possible. It's down to the players around him to take responsibility of bringing him into the game. I think he needs a few early touches, maybe an early shot to get his confidence into the game. But it's a different game, and I think you'll see a different Kane tonight for sure.
An early shot would actually help Micah, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of course. We all know Kane. He's world class. You know, coming up to this tournament, leading up, saying he's genuinely world class in our squad. Frustrating game for him. You know, he dropped too deep at times, but you've seen in the first game he dropped deep, which allowed Calvin Phillips to go in that space and then Sterling to run into behind. So as long as he affects the team, we're talking about Kane. We're talking about it's a team. Yeah, we want Kane to play well, of course we do, but you know the win is the most important tonight. And Jack said, as long as it's a different game today. He'll get an opportunity, and you know, you give Kane a couple opportunities in the game over 2 games, he's going to score one of them, and I have no problem with that. But we've got to remember, we need to stop singling. I know we have our fun with Jack Grealish and whatnot, but it's a team. It's a team performing. Like Scotland, the way they've set up, you see John.
Yeah, absolutely, Micah. I'm absolutely, Micah. It's a team, but and therefore that's my question when it comes to Harry Kane. He can benefit the team, but it's not should he drop deep or should he stay up. We saw by him dropping deep, actually that benefited England in how they scored. I'm interested whether if he drops deep today, does that benefit the team, or does his role need to be, right, just as Brendan Rodgers would say to Jamie Vardy, just work within the lines of the 18-yard box, don't go looking for it.
Yeah. Yeah, but Jamie Vardy's one of the best in the league at doing that, and happy to be just running him behind. We talk about Kane's goals, but I said, you know, he had the top assists in the Premier League as well. So he is a player who gets very frustrated. He just doesn't want to be stood up there. He wants to be involved. He wants to feel like he's making an impact. So yes, I do feel he will go deep, but for the team, it's better if he stays up there, because we've got players like we've seen Phillips with his assist the other day. Mount can do it. Foden can play a lovely ball. So in answer to your question, yes, he should stay up there, but we know Kane can create as well, so I expect him to drop a little bit deeper too.
If he drops, Pat, what do the Scottish back three do with him?
Well, you need to let him go into an area where it's going to get two deep line midfielders, and you've got Gilmore there, and you've got McGregor there. Both of them can actually do that job, understand that job, and we'll try and cut off the supply there. I mean, what Scotland have got defensively is basically a three-man back line and two sitting in front of them. That's a block to get through. That's quite a hard block to get through. Now, there's quality players, and it can be Kane, it can be Foden, it can be any of them, right? But it's still a hard block to get through when that area, and I don't think McGregor will go that far forward. He can play, but he'll want to play from that deep area. And Gilmore, lots of people talk about Billy, and I've not seen enough of him. He's not a 10. He's not up there creating lots and lots of goals. He's a Jorginho, he's a Chinko. He plays in front of the back men and plays the ball and controls the game from there. So those two players, although neither are the tallest, they will close down and they will chase and they make it hard, be it Harry Kane or be it anywhere. By the way, there's a very odd sound that I heard there that I've not heard for a long, long time at a football ground. It's the sound of John Murray laughing because he's seen that rain come down on me, and I knew it would happen.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, Pat, it's typical pro-English BBC, isn't it? They've put the Scottish half of the commentary team in the rain, pitch side, and kept the English half nice and dry in the commentary box. It's poor. Are you all right down there?
I feel unbelievably at home in this weather, oh boy. Unbelievably.
It'll not show the tears anyway.
Declan Rice.
If I get back to the bar first, I'm not. If I get back to the bar first, I'm not buying him a drink, even though he's promised me one.
Declan Rice has said to ITV, and this sums it up, Jack Wilshere, basically. Yes, it's definitely going to be the biggest tonight, he says, because of the rivalry. But for us, as players, we want to go out and get the job done.
Yeah, and I think, going back to what Pat said earlier, I think Scotland would benefit from trying to drag England into playing the occasion. I think England need to get the ball down, play. Listen, without being disrespectful, England are the better team. They've got better players, and they need to make use of that and not get dragged into the occasion.
Jack, thank you very much. It's great that you're really keen and you're going to be back at half-time. I remember when Micah was starting out in punditry, he would come back at half-time, full-time, nothing was too much trouble for him. But you're done tonight now, Micah, aren't you? So thanks for that.
Done and dusted, going to watch the game. Have fun, guys.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, Micah.
Yeah, not on that. Thank you, Jack. We will talk at half-time.
Thanks, guys. See you at half-time.
We will, thank you. We will talk to Charlie Adam. He'll be back at half-time as well. Hopefully James McFadden will join us at full-time. Just see the players in the tunnel at the moment. The England players, Harry Kane waiting for the rest of his team to come out. All of Scotland are there. Andy Robertson having a chat to the referee. David Marshall with a towel round his neck, just took a swig of water. Is this a big game? I mean, it's a big game for all of them, Pat. I just wonder, because of what happened to David Marshall as England come out here at Wembley, what he'll be feeling going into this.
Do you know what? Keepers make mistakes, and they've made them all their careers, and they deal with them, and they have to go on with it. He can sit and think about that, or else he can sit and think about the penalty kick that he saved that took Scotland to these finals. I think he'll think about the latter, and that's exactly the right way to react about it tonight.
Andy Robertson just standing in the tunnel, looking very calm. He's just swaying from left to right. Scott McTominay rubbing his hands together. The English subs came out to take their place on the bench and were roundly booed by the Scotland fans away to our left, but here come our officials for the evening here at Wembley Stadium. There is a noise in here as if the stadium is full, not the restricted capacity that we have in these strange times. It feels like an England-Scotland game should. England just a little bit out ahead of the Scotland side. Andy Robertson now making his way out onto the pitch, and the Scotland players to a man turn to their right and applaud the massed fans in the Scottish end. It is Euro 2020. It is England against Scotland. It is one heck of a rivalry live on 5 Live Sport with Pat Nevin, with Chris Waddle and with John Murray.
What a great atmosphere inside Wembley Stadium. The official attendance on Sunday was less than 20,000. It feels like there are many more than that in the stadium. And the whistles here, because here comes the Scottish anthem. Tingling. You could, I hope, hear the anthems through the boos and listen. Both anthems were roundly booed. But the tracksuit tops are coming off now. The rain is falling gently on Wembley Stadium. And we have tonight for you on 5 Live what promises to be one of the sporting events of the year. Chris Waddle, it feels big.
Unbelievable. The atmosphere is electric, and imagine if it was full, what it would be like. And Scotland had a big allocation, but they're definitely in full voice. But England also, it's a cracking atmosphere. Let's hope the game is.
What was it like down there on pitch side, Pat Nevin?
Do you know what? It's actually spine-tingling down here. It really is. The noise. If the players, people are asking about whether players are up for it or not, whether England players will be or not to the same level as the Scotland players, forget all that. Boy, are these fans up on it. Both sides, they are hyper. The noise is incredible. These England fans are not taking the the Scotland team lightly. They want to get in their minds, and wow, it's a great noise. Kind of wish it was up the other end right enough.
Pat is to our right behind the goal that Jordan Pickford is just warming up in. But here we go then, here we go. And of course these two sides have history. What history? The very first official international. We've had 149 years of footballing memories, from 9 past Haffey to the breaking of the crossbar in 1977, to Jim Baxter here, to Kenny Dalglish and Ray Clemens, Paul Scholes, Don Hutchison, Gazza of course, right up to Lee Griffiths and Harry Kane the last time they met. And Harry Kane is just stalking around to the left-hand side of the centre circle. England all in white tonight, Scotland all in blue. And we've had the needle of the whistles and the boos for the anthems, but we're going to have a moment before kick-off where Scotland and England are going to be united. We know all of the talk and all of the discussion about the taking of the knee by the England team in the build-up to the tournament, and indeed here on Sunday. Well, Scotland, who are not taking a knee at Hampden, they're standing together, they're standing against racism, but a gesture from Scotland, Steve Clarke and the SFA, is that the Scotland team will kneel. And that's what they're doing now. All players drop down onto their knees, and that is applauded loudly around the stadium in all sections. There might be boos in there as well, but they were definitely drowned out. So we're ready. It's England against Scotland. This is 2021, the delayed Euro 2020 match, 25 years after the meeting here at Euro 96, and this only the second time that England and Scotland have played each other at a major tournament. Scotland kick off, the ball's immediately fired down the right, and an England player, Luke Shaw.
Well, it was a long Tierney from the kick-off, played it long diagonal. Dykes gets up, heads it on, bumps into Shaw, who's now got up and looks okay.
Yeah, I think he's just taken a hand. I think Dykes' hand has just flicked him in the face. So it's nothing. It's not a head collision. It's not a head injury. He's okay, Luke Shaw. He's back on his feet. He's one of the 2 players who've come into the England team, 2 full-backs actually. Luke Shaw at left back and Reece James at right back. The rest of the England team, Pickford in goal, Stones and Mings the central defenders. Harry Maguire is on the bench, incidentally. Rice with Phillips and Mount either side. Then Foden and Sterling wide and Kane through the middle. And the Scotland team that's provoked great discussion. Billy Gilmore in it, Kieran Tierney in it, Adams up front, and also McGregor coming into midfield. I'll run you through it in full in a moment. But England playing from right to left in the first half, as they like to do here at Wembley. Here is Harry Kane on the right. Kane to Sterling, the man who scored England's goal against Croatia, is dispossessed by McGinn. And Scotland will bring it forward from inside their own half. A couple of skips from McGregor to keep possession. And here's McTominay striding forward from his position as one of the 3 central defenders. But Scotland through O'Donnell, turn and go back to goalkeeper Marshall. Clearance from him through the middle into the centre circle. Dykes was after it, but it's headed back to Pickford, who comes to the edge of the penalty area. So Scotland's team, Marshall in goal. The 3 central defenders, McTominay, Hanley and Tierney. O'Donnell and Robertson in the wing-back positions. Gilmore, McGregor and McGinn. And then Dykes and Adams up front. England 0, Scotland 0. You're listening to us on BBC Radio 5 Live. We're live from Wembley Stadium. Chris Waddle alongside me, Pat Nevin down on pitch side, and England with Tyrone Mings, who plays the ball across the back line to John Stones. And now James on the right. James getting his first experience of tournament action. What a time it is for him to be alive. Champions League winner, and now here he is with England starting against Scotland in a major tournament. Just keeping an eye on Billy Gilmore as well, Chris Waddle. You know, we just wonder how his nerves are. This young Chelsea man winning only his 3rd cap and starting for Scotland for the first time. As England played forward, but there's a shove in the back by Calvin Phillips on Grant Hanley. The ball bounces behind anyway. It's given only as a goal kick.
Yeah, England started a few passes there, getting the nerves settled, and Phillips runs down the channel, right side channel there, and it is a foul on Hanley, but he's just made it a goal kick. So but Scotland, yes, well organised. You can see the shape of them already. The 3 at the back, the 2 wing-backs are not really pushing on yet, and tight 2 in midfield, McGregor. And then when you go a bit higher, McGinn's playing behind the front 2. They've shaped up in midfield against England. They're not going to let England control the game.
Position in the group now after Croatia's 1-1 draw with the Czech Republic we brought you earlier. So the Czechs with 4 points, England with 3, Croatia with 1, and Scotland yet to get off the mark in their first major tournament for 23 years. Looking for their first goal as well since then. A great place, great time to score it. Scotland with a throw down the right. O'Donnell's going to take this. O'Donnell level with the edge of the England penalty area. Declan Rice just hitches his shorts up his thighs. Throw-in taken short. Gilmore with an assured touch. O'Donnell's ball into the penalty area. A low shot is saved. Adams with the effort. Pickford went down to his right. There were defenders in there as well, and England have been able to clear it away. First attempt on target, Scotland, Shea Adams.
Brilliant move by Scotland. Lovely little 1-2 on his right-hand side. A great pullback. Shea Adams, all he can say is hit the target. He tried. It's a great block by Stones in a way he cleared, but good start by Scotland.
Yeah, Stones standing just in front of Jordan Pickford, made the block. Scotland with the throw into the edge of the penalty area. McGilmore gets a touch, comes out. Adams now on the edge of the box. McGregor's there, but it bounces away from him. And Shaw is able to give it back to Pickford, and England clear downfield. Let's bring in Pat Nevin from down on pitch side. The Scotland attacking towards your end at the moment, Pat.
Yeah, so much for the Scotland sitting back and taking a little bit of pressure. They're trying to put pressure on England. Just that start off when the ball was played long and the nod on that came from Dykes there. He will have been delighted with that, with an old-fashioned centre-forward. His knee into the back of Shaw. No free kick given, but laying down a marker as it was. This is old school stuff.
Yeah, this is feisty as well on the pitch now. Mount with Gilmore and McGinn either side of him. Gilmore with a challenge. Chelsea teammates. Free kick England.
Yeah, well, obviously there'll be a bit of banter between them, but he is picking Mount up. I've noticed where Mount's been going. He's been following him around. But yeah, Scotland, well organised, positive start. That's
going to be great fun, Chris. That harks back, doesn't it, to the old days when you would see this sort of thing in the home internationals, when teammates would suddenly become enemies on the football field. Foden winning a free kick over there on the far side, in front of where Steve Clarke and Gareth Southgate are standing just a few yards away from one another. They know each other well. They've got stacks of respect for one another. Free kick that is going to be taken by Reece James. It's 0-0 if you've just switched on. You can listen on 5 Live. If you're on the move tonight, listen via BBC Sounds as well, and you can rewind the live radio, of course. And almost as England come forward, here's Phillips, one of England's men of the day on Sunday. Ball in towards Kane in a very deep position. Then a challenge comes in on him from John McGinn. Kane goes down, free kick England. Foden right at the centre circle.
John, they're not give Scotland credit. They've started. I know it's really early in the game, but they've not let England settle, get their rhythm. England's trying to slow pace, trying to move the ball nice and easy. Scotland's come out the blocks very quick, and they're not letting England settle.
Well, you can't argue with that approach. I feel for Scotland, it is a must-not-lose game. But Steve Clarke has been very positive. Free kick though, Foden waiting to take it, and the referee, by the way, we need to mention him. He'd be furious if we didn't mention him, I think. Antonio Mateo Lajos, who, if you're not aware of him, you know how they used to say many years ago, you can tell if the referee's had a good game if you don't notice him. He doesn't really subscribe to that. Free kick, Foden and Mount over there towards the right. Mount comes up, Mount plays it into the edge of the area, flicked by Rice, but just turned it goalwards really, and it bounced straight through to Marshall.
Half chance of anything, wasn't it? The ball was very flat what came in, and Scotland go again. Long
Here
ball.
we go, high, long, through the middle, looking for Adams, Scotland's number 10. The English-born Shea Adams, remember, grandparent qualified him for Scotland. He was born in Leicestershire. Ball played out towards the left-hand side, and Calvin Phillips is picked up for a foul, and it's a free kick to Scotland in a good position.
Well, see what they can offer here. They've got a great position on the left-hand side, so it's a great angle to put it in, and all the big boys are coming up.
Yeah, Billy Gilmore has gone across there to take it. The captain, Robertson, is there as well, but it looks as though it's going to be Billy Gilmore's delivery. Great noise swirling around Wembley Stadium. Thousands of empty red seats, but Scotland with a set-piece chance. So we're looking to the big man. Lyndon Dykes is standing there. Those chances that he was unable to put away against the Czech Republic on Monday afternoon. McGinn standing in an offside position at the moment. I can hear the skirl of the pipes inside Wembley. It's played in by Robertson, and it's headed up and away by Tyrone Mings, who did really well to make that his. Leapt for it, headed it away on the edge of the 6-yard box. It's played out to the left-hand side by McGregor. Dykes with a header, but that just takes the ball right across the penalty area into the full-back position, and Jordan Pickford has gone out there to collect it himself.
It was a good free kick by Robertson, good pace, but you know, it was only Dykes went and attacked it. Everybody else was stood on the 18-yard line. Nobody went in to attack it. You know, it was a good delivery.
Chris Waddle with us. Pat Nevins down behind the goal at one end. It's England 0, Scotland 0. I feel almost a little bit like paraphrasing Des Lynam all those years ago. We're on the radio, but it feels like, shouldn't you be in front of a television watching this? Because this is the real deal. Here's Phillips playing it back to Foden, and then Phillips is pulled up for a foul on McGregor.
A lot of free kicks at the moment, isn't it? Really, it's like 1-2 passes and then a free kick, and it needs to settle down the game. Yeah, well, he's an experienced guy, the Champions League referee, Antonio Mateo Lahoz. I noticed he was all over Gareth Southgate before the game. He had his arm round his shoulder. That's how he operates. He loves that sort of thing. Did you see him with the Chelsea players after the Champions League final? He was going around hugging the Chelsea players. Throw into Scotland, down the left. That is taken down the line for the run of Adams. Dykes in the middle with a very severe haircut, Lyndon Dykes. Ball played for England and cleared. Mount challenge, no free kick. Robertson plays it in field. Yes, the free kick has been given for the foul on Mount, and it's England's ball halfway inside their own half, 0-0. I think there's been more free kicks than passes. It's just stop.
There's great history that England and Scotland have, going back all the way to 1872, when they drew 0-0 in the very first match at the West of Scotland cricket ground. England coming forward purposefully with Sterling, who checks back, gives it to Phillips. Now here's James on the right. James for Foden down in the Scottish left-back position. Back to James. Looked across, plays it short to Sterling. Foden now, the two Manchester City men. Foden onto his left foot. This could be dangerous. He plays it across to Mount, onto his right foot. Curling shot, takes a deflection off the back of Grant Hanley and bounces wide for England's first corner, the first corner of the match.
Well, James and Foden linking up really well on that right-hand side. Eventually it comes to Mount on just outside the D. He's trying to bend that for the top corner. He could have reversed it to Shaw, made a great overlap on the left-hand side.
Mason Mount trots across there to the far side, at the Scotland end. A chorus of whistles and boos cascading down on the Chelsea midfielder. Mount standing 1 foot in front of the other. Players massed around the penalty spot. Here's the delivery from Mount, an outswinger which is headed against the post, and it comes straight back out. Stones got his head to it. Got it brilliantly to get his head to it. It struck the face of the post and bounced straight back out, and Scotland survive.
Good delivery. Scotland, to be fair, a lot of the Scotland players do mark very tight. They don't look at the ball, they're looking at the man. Stones gets a space by, gets the back of Dykes, hits the post. He'll be disappointed he hasn't scored. He's got up, he's got the power. Goalkeeper's rooted to the spot, hits the post, comes out and they clear it.
Down the pitch side, Pat Nevin.
Well, on the pitch level there, wow, did he get some height there? That was incredible from Stones. Well, there's nobody within a country mile of the Scotland team there. That is 7 yards out. It's central. That is terrible defending there. Got to do much better than that. By the way, can I disrespectfully disagree with Chris Waddle? The game doesn't need to calm down. Scotland need to keep it bitty as possible. We don't want a calm, sophisticated game.
Listen, you'll run out of steam in 10 minutes.
Listen, I completely get your drift. Here's Sterling. Sterling's run the ball back from McTominay. Sterling plays it across, and it takes a deflection from Mount wide of the near post. Arriving in the 6-yard box. Goal kick.
Yeah, Sterling's looked very bright from the start down his left-hand side. O'Donnell doesn't let it. Takes the ball off him far too easy. McTominay loses it. Sterling, a little trick. Oh, Mount really, he's got a great chance to score. It's a ball what comes in very quick to him, and it's hit his heel rather than the side of his foot. We just need to pass that into the net. And England 2 chances in a minute.
Scott McTominay, as the right-sided central defender of the three, caught out there. Manchester United and Manchester City. Calvin Phillips playing the ball across to the far side. Reece James, low ball infield. Kane with both Foden and Sterling further upfield than he was, and he miscontrolled it, the England captain, and Scotland have got it back. England 0, Scotland 0. Bit of space here for Shea Adams. Shea Adams of Southampton playing it through for Dykes, but Pickford is sliding out and is able to gather the ball.
I've got to say, John, Shea Adams is in acres of space. Lovely ball, little third ball there by McGregor to him. He gets turned, he gets in within 23 yards back. Wet surface, surely he's got to let go. He's got to shoot there.
0-0, England in possession. Here's John Stones. who's just had a header crash back off the right post. 6 yards out or thereabouts. There's a little bit of something going on. Calvin Phillips, and is that McGinn? McGinn went to ground, and there was a little movement I noticed of McGinn, who just a tiny little flick out of his foot at Calvin Phillips. As the two of them went to ground, their legs became entangled together, and
it's nothing.
Nothing.
It's nothing. No. Get on with it.
Free kick to Scotland. Calvin Phillips just been given a little word there. No more than that from the referee. England 0, Scotland 0. We do have a choice for you tonight, by the way. The Super League's over on 5 Live Sports Extra tonight. On your digital radio, BBC Sounds, Wigan against Hull KR, and later the US Open, the second round. There is a great story there. We'll have more during the course of the evening on 5 Live Sport, but Richard Bland, 48-year-old Englishman, is leading the US Open, and you'll know what a story that is if you follow your golf. Here's James, who turns the ball back towards Pickford. Left-footed clearance from him, sliced into the centre circle. Hanley comes forward, heads it through the middle. Dykes, Mings up against Dykes, just turns together and then shrugs off the QPR man and plays the ball back. And the referee's got his yellow card out to show to John McGinn.
Yep. I think it's something he said, John.
So that must go back to the tangle between McGinn and Phillips.
Well, I'm just looking in. It's listen. Dykes has given as much as he was getting. The referees did the right decision. McGinn's turn obviously said something to him.
Yeah, and I guess he probably said something to him after the earlier incident as well. That might not be his first offence. That's Scotland's first yellow card of the tournament. John McGinn, 0-0. Suspect that might not be the last yellow card of this match. McGinn on the left, ball comes in from Robertson, but it's cleared away for England out towards the far side, and it's a throw into Scotland down the left. Rain continues to fall. Wouldn't want to be down pitch side tonight.
No, I feel sorry for them.
Yeah, it'll be quite damp down there, I would think. We certainly look after our summarisers. We put Karen Carney down there on Saturday, who was almost burnt to a crisp, and we've now put Pat Nevin down there tonight, who will do well if he doesn't drown. England 0, Scotland 0. Here's Harry Kane, comes back. Hanley hits the ball forward. Mings, Dykes wins it in the air, but the ball just bounces through for a goal kick. And actually bounces into the advertising hoardings, very close to said Pat Nevin.
Yes. If you can hear me, I did lean over and try and catch it, but I'm not tall enough to get down.
Thanks, Pat. So England playing the ball out from the back. Still 0-0. Occasions like this, you've played in them, Chris. First goal, very important.
Yeah, always. You know, you've got to say Scotland's working very, very hard, and they've unsettled England. But England's had 2 glorious chances.
England with the ball on the right. A pass, lovely ball from Phillips. Pulled down by Foden! Oh, who shoots wide? But the offside flag is up.
Yeah, he's off.
Pulled it down brilliantly. Hanley was there with him.
Great run.
Great pass.
Great run, though. Yeah, what a pass, but what a run. You know, that's what you want when you pick the ball up. You want somebody to run and make your mind up, and he did. Foden, great run. Went a little bit too early. Great take with his left foot. Brings it down. Just tries to place it in that bottom corner. Just wait, but the flag went up anyway.
But Calvin Phillips with the pass. That's why they call him the Yorkshire Pirlo.
Wow. I don't know if you'd like to be called a Yorkshire Pirlo, though, would you? I don't mind the Pirlo bit, but...
Steady on. You're on a mission tonight. Who else are you going to upset?
Aye, watch what you're saying.
Scotland with the ball inside their own half. It's Kieran Tierney who plays it back infield towards Hanley. Great for Scotland to have Tierney back, the Arsenal man. Trained for the last couple of days. Harry Maguire on the bench. Could be used by England tonight. Jordan Henderson's there as well. It was his 31st birthday yesterday, the Liverpool captain, among the substitutes. No involvement for Kyle Walker at all, not in the 23. Ben White and Bukayo Saka. England with the ball inside Scotland territory. Foden, unmissable with the silver hair, as he himself, I think, described it, as opposed to blonde. Comes back to Mings on the halfway line. Mings to Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw, little ball forward, Sterling. Nice, back to Shaw. Shaw drives it on. He's got Mount to his left in the area now. Mount pulling it back into the shins of McTominay, straight behind, corner to England.
Good play by Shaw, good give and go with Sterling, then he rolls into Mount. Mount's first touch let him down, he overran it slightly, couldn't get the ball across the 6-yard line, but he got a corner out of it.
This is a corner from the left-hand side.
See who's marking Stones, is it Dykes again? It was, he let him go last time and he should have scored.
Stones is just arriving on the edge of the penalty area, and Dykes indeed stands in front of him. Mings is there as well, just to his right. Rice near the penalty spot, Kane as well. Here's the delivery in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. McGinn heads it away, headed forward by Phillips, bounces back for Scotland, and now McGregor, in comes the challenge from Luke Shaw.
Good challenge.
And the ball bounces all the way back into the England half. And Foden is there almost in his own left-back position.
Yeah, quite well. Scotland looked for the counter-attack. It was a good tackle by Shaw, and Foden was chasing him back, so he picks the ball up. Foden's actually starting to wander around. He's making some good runs in behind as well.
England 0, Scotland 0. Live from Wembley Stadium, BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. And Jordan Pickford passing the ball forward towards Shaw, and then Mount scoops it infield. Foden just centrally now. McTominay heads it away back to Luke Shaw. Shaw looks up, plays it through to Sterling, controls the ball on the top of his thighs. No, he controlled it with his arm, says referee Lahoz. Free kick, Scotland.
Handball, but England now are getting a lot of ball without pressure on it.
Scotland playing it up towards Shea Adams. Turns towards the right, then back infield, has a look and uses little Billy Gilmour. He's a very frail looking character, actually, I'd almost say. Turned 20 last week, so a teenager no more. The reason he didn't play much last season, just 11 appearances, was that he spent most of the season recovering from a knee injury. But he was front and centre, wasn't he, of the Champions League celebrations with Chelsea. Here is Gilmour now. Mount is all over the back of him, snapping away at his clubmate. Gilmour just shrugs him off. And then
that is a
foul over there on the far side by John Stones, an aerial challenge on Lyndon Dykes, and it's a free kick out on the left-hand side.
Well, it's a silly challenge, isn't it, by John Stones? He's not going to win it, so sometimes you have to accept that, let him bring it down and see if you can nick it off him. But that's a silly free kick to give away, and it's quite a dangerous area.
Just cannoned into him, just collided into him, leapt into him, and conceded the free kick. Scotland have already had one from this sort of area. It's a little bit further out, this. So Robertson is over there with Gilmour. The line England are holding on the edge of their penalty area. Gilmour will drive it in towards the back post. It's headed across the England box. McTominay is there, got his head to it. That was headed away though for England, and it comes out for a dipping effort, which drops over the top of the crossbar from Kieran Tierney from 25-30 yards, that sort of range. So it is England 0, Scotland 0. And back down to Pat Nevin, who is behind the goal at the end. Scotland are attacking towards in the first half.
Well, we described it as a right-footed shot by Kieran Tierney. We didn't have to say any more. Kieran's wonderful, many things, but right-footed shots. I'll tell you, a lot of Scotland fans are getting a bit fed up with the referee so far. I mean, in the Scotland-England game, to give a yellow card for foul and abusive language, everyone's using it out there. So they're a bit furious about that, and understandably so.
That from Pat is a very fair point.
I thought it was a good decision.
Yes, Shaw on the left-hand side. Yes, if Senor Lahoz is a shrinking violet and he doesn't like foul and abusive language, I suspect there's a bit of the industrial going on down there on the pitch. Here's Shaw for England, right on the halfway line, turns and gives it back to Tyrone Mings behind him. Mings, who's, I have to say, made a very assured start for England again. And Mings playing the ball out towards the far side. Mings will know, of course, that when Harry Maguire is fully fit, his place will be right under pressure. Stones, who's had a header, strike the crossbar in this match. That's the closest we've come to an opening goal. We are already halfway through the first half. England with the ball inside their own territory. We'll have all of the top sport for you this weekend on 5 Live. Of course, the Euro 2020 commentaries are right at the heart of what we're doing. All of the coverage across the network, every match either on 5 Live or Sports Extra. And tomorrow, 3 really good games. You'll hear them all on 5 Live. Hungary, France from 2, Portugal, Germany from 5, Spain, Poland tomorrow night from 8 o'clock. 5 Live, the place to listen to them. England still just knocking the ball around inside their own half. Luke Shaw sees Mount just to his left, gives it to Mount. Gilmour comes across. They've been inseparable tonight, those two, Mount and Gilmour. Mount playing it to Sterling. Sterling can't find a way past McTominay. McTominay comes away with the ball. 3 England players around him, and he side foots it into his Manchester United teammate, and out for a Scotland throw.
I've got to say, Scotland's frustrating England. I know that sort of John Stones could have scored and Mason Mount could have scored, really, but apart from that, they've frustrated England. They're making England go back and play square balls, going back. There's no movement ahead. There's a lot of blue shirts of Scotland standing in front of them, and they're frustrating.
Rain still falling. Some of the rain in London today, absolutely torrential. Rice from the throw comes across, and Dykes has been caught.
Rice.
So Declan Rice is just called across by the referee. Free kick is given to Scotland. 8 or 9 yards inside the England half. The whistles as Flower of Scotland is being sung to our left. It feels and it looks like there are many more than 2,600 in the stands to our left. Flower of Scotland ringing around Wembley Stadium as Scotland take the free kick, which is headed away by James on the edge of the box. Foden plays it back to Declan Rice, upright of course, chest puffed out. Declan Rice, the West Ham man, plays it forward towards Foden. Foden under pressure there. Free kick is given. Shot comes in anyway from Adams. Pickford pushes it over the top, and Foden, however, on his knees, just getting back to his feet.
Yeah, they're not giving him any time, any space, are they, Scotland? They're working ever so hard, well drilled, but it's very demanding. I don't know how long they can keep it up.
Free kick then. Flower of Scotland just fades away. Originally written, Chris, in 1314 to commemorate the Battle of Bannockburn.
Oh, 1:15 a day.
Yes, it'll be in the charts next week. As Mings plays it back to Pickford. Pickford, with Dykes not far away, turns and plays it to Stones, and now Reece James. James to Kane on the halfway line. In comes Hanley with a challenge. Good challenge it was, says referee Lahoz. Now Gilmour near the centre spot. Scotland all in blue. Now with McGregor playing it to the left-hand side. Robertson with the cross, but that's beyond Dykes in the middle, and Pickford's able to claim it quite comfortably.
You've got to say, John, up to the final third, Scotland have been the better side, and you know, they're working ever so hard. They've got a good shape of them, but it's scoring goals. They don't look like they're going to score.
Shaw curls one forward from Mount, but it's beyond him and Hanley, who is there with Mason Mount. And all in orange, David Marshall, hero of Belgrade, rolls the ball out towards the halfway line. I think because he was the hero of Belgrade, he's been cut quite a lot of slack, hasn't he, after the goal that was conceded in the week, that brilliant strike by Schick. Scotland with O'Donnell on the right-hand side. O'Donnell curling it up towards Adams. Adams chests it down, stabs it back to Dykes, who's dropped back towards the halfway line. Tierney receives it, and he's pumping his arms now, Tierney, as he plays the ball through to Robertson on the left-hand side, but James comes across, and he's just going to allow the ball to roll behind for a goal kick. 0-0.
It's just really strange. I mean, Harry Kane can't get in the game. The 3 centre-halves that he's playing up against, obviously, he's trying to come deep and link the play. Mount's getting marked by Gilmour, and Gilmour's winning the battle. You've got to say that. Sterling can't get in the game down this left-hand side. Foden's been wandering around, looked a threat at times with some of his runs off the ball, but the midfield are not dominating. So England really can't put a lot of passes together unless they go back to the back four.
Chris, it's been much talked about, and we mentioned it on Sunday as well, but I just naturally feel and naturally think when you see Harry Kane, you need to get into the penalty area more. It's as simple as that. He said, I spoke to him last night, actually, Harry Kane. He said, listen, it wasn't my best game, it wasn't my worst game on Sunday. Here's James on the right, his ball in, Kane stretching for it and heads it wide. Offside in any case.
I've got to say though, I'm watching it from that ball, he puts his hand up, McTominay does not go around and cover Hanley, He's marking nobody, McTominay. He's just, by the way, I don't think he's offside. I'm looking at this lane. I don't think he was off. But McTominay's got to go round on the cover and mark Harry Kane. I don't know who he's marking nobody.
If he'd headed that in, I'm pretty certain that would have been
VAR, and I think would have been a goal.
Yeah, and but he couldn't reach it, stretching for it, skidded off the wet surface. Goal kick Scotland though, back down pitch side to Pat Nevin.
What Chrissy was saying there, it hurts me to say, I have to agree with him completely. Scotland close, but it's going to continue to be harder and harder as the game goes on. And that's the first sight there of Scotland not closing down the cross ball put in by Reece James. And as soon as you give him space, he is as good as anyone in the game at putting those crosses in. So yes, that tiredness will get in, and if Scotland are tired and leave space, they will be put under massive pressure. And by the way, McTominay, right centre back, turning off, that has been his problem for Scotland, and he's done it once again there.
McGregor playing it out to the left-hand side. Robertson looks for the run of Tierney, the overlapping run of Tierney. This is working brilliantly. Onto his right foot, the cross to the back post. O'Donnell with a shot saved by Pickford. And then the follow-up header from Adams is put wide. But of all people, Stephen O'Donnell with a shot from the angle that Pickford got down very smartly to push away.
There you go, down that left-hand side. Robertson and Tierney. Tierney does ever so well. Sells a dummy on James. Pulls at the back post. What a great strike that was. And you've got to say, what a save by Jordan Pickford.
Stephen O'Donnell, he's received a little bit of criticism, Pat Nevin, since Monday. Never scored for Scotland. He was very close there.
Well, he is a kind of right back. OK, he's playing right wing back, but he's a slightly more defensive player. I'm right on the line of that. That was going into the corner. Got to say, Pickford, he got his angle so brilliantly right there. And he was quite far out of his goal as well. Spot on from Pickford, and Scotland, after quite a long time, have finally looked a bit dangerous again.
And that, Chris Waddle, came from the combination of Robertson and Tierney on the left.
Well, that was the concern. We know Scotland are very strong and they link up very well, them two together. James was caught 2-on-1. So with Tierney, great bit of skill, feint the cross, back onto his right, and O'Donnell will be disappointed, but that was a wonderful save.
Well, there are supposed to be only 22 or so thousand people inside Wembley Stadium, but the atmosphere inside the ground is vibrant. So there's a message on the screen to remind people to socially distance as well, as Kane turns on the halfway line and then hits the pass forward, which took a deflection actually, and I think Kane on his follow-through also caught the Scotland man. I think it's McGregor who is down there. No, it's McGinn. England come again. McGinn's back onto his feet. Here's Mount, goes around McTominay, but McGinn is there. Slight hobble from McGinn. Shaw curls it through. Foden inside the penalty area, but the touch was heavy from Foden, sprinting for it. And the touch takes it behind into the hoardings. He's right next to all of the saltires there behind the goal. He's close to all of the Scotland fans in their kilts, and they gave him a bit of stick.
You know what, John, you said before this tournament, I thought a lot of players would feel the pace going into these games and will tire, and you know, it will catch up with them, the amount of football played. I've just looked at Harry Kane against Croatia. Yes, hot day, didn't play as well. He said it wasn't his worst game, but tonight again he's struggling to get in the game.
Dykes, long ball, headed through all the way to Pickford. Very important save from Jordan Pickford just now from O'Donnell. That's the closest Scotland have come. And it's still 0-0 if you've switched onto us on this summer's Friday night. Beautiful English June summer's evening. Rain pouring down. Jumpers on tonight for the first time at Euro 2020. Stones lifting the ball to the left-hand side to Mount, and then Mount back to Declan Rice just inside his own half. Calvin Phillips makes himself available, and the ball is turned from the Leeds United midfielder, England's number 14, to Mings. Now Reece James down the right. Dykes comes across. Foden now takes it up. Foden looks for a crossfield ball to Luke Shaw, who chests that down. Shaw uses Sterling with an angle 25 yards out, back to Mount on the left. Mount's low ball in, poor, cleared away easily by McTominay to Stones near the halfway line. Stones drives it forward towards Reece James. James to Foden, back to James again, and then Phillips. England, short passes, a little laboured, doesn't have a zip about it, even on this wet surface tonight. Rice takes it forward. Now here's Mount. I think this is as long a period of possession that we've seen from either team in the match, and it's curled into the box by Mount, a stretch by Sterling, but it runs away off his right foot straight behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, patient build-up. Mount, who's playing on this left-hand side, just inside Sterling, very close to him. Sterling takes off on a run, and it's a great little clip pass by Mount from this left-hand side, and Sterling really should have brought that down. But again, you can just see England are starting to get a few more passes. Scotland are just slightly coming off the pace.
0-0. Crowd want David Marshall to give them a wave, the Scotland fans, the tartan armoury, and he obliges before he takes the goal kick downfield. Dykes heads it on. Adams through the middle, flicks it infield. Mount, though, is all over the challenge and wins it back. And now Foden goes for an early ball over the top. Kane's looking over his shoulder. He looked to his left, it went to his right. And Kieran Tierney was back in position to clear it away. Arsenal against Tottenham there, of course. Here's Foden now, carrying it on through the middle. Challenges come in on him. Referee Lahoz says no foul. The crowd are incensed that wasn't given as a free kick to Phil Foden. And Scotland are able to bring it forward towards the halfway line. But O'Donnell checks back into his own half.
I think the referee's done okay. I think at first I think he was blowing up a lot for little things, but as the game's gone on, he's got better. Yeah,
thought he refereed the Champions League final very, very well. Dykes heading the ball through to Mings. Mings turns it to Pickford, who has to be quick there. Adams is arriving, but Pickford is able to clear into the centre circle. Hanley will be back in the Premier League next season with Norwich City. Heads it out to the far side, and it bounces out of play for an England throw. It's half-time in the Rugby League. That's over on 5 Live Sports Extra. Wigan 0, Hull KR 6. And also Huddersfield 2, Salford 8 is the latest score. More on the US Open at half-time, if not before, where Richard Bland was the leader last we heard. England 0, Scotland 0 here at Wembley Stadium. England, who've never lost a tournament match over 90 minutes here at Wembley. Ball played forward for England, down into the Scotland left-back position. Mount, possibly with a little shove there. Yes, I think that's been given, a shove in the back on Tierney. And I think the referee might just have a word. Phil Foden is also in discussions with the referee.
Yeah, well, he's got up and Tierney seems okay. Mount, just surely, just catches his neck, actually. So the referee's had a word and started the play. Back down to Pat Nevin.
Yeah, there's something slightly amiss here in the England bench, and I think there's something wrong with one of the centre-backs. Try to figure out who it is, because Harry Maguire was over there, shouting and bawling. He's got his shot down to dress to his shorts, ready to come on if needed. Pickford saying he doesn't know. So keep an eye on both centre-backs for England just now, because Harry Maguire's ready to move.
Scotland coming forward with McGinn, his ball into the box. Adams on his right foot lifts it across here to the right. Oh, it's a poor ball by Adams. He's got right underneath that, and O'Donnell had no chance, and it just floats out of play for a throw-in to England halfway inside his own half. I don't know what happened to Pat Nevin's microphone.
I know.
Sounded as though he was a helicopter.
Video killed the radio
star.
It was. Buggles, wasn't it?
It was.
But, I think, again, Scotland, they've played very, very well tonight so far, but that final third, John, they just seem to have that run out of ideas.
That amused me. England 0, Scotland 0. Shaw up towards Sterling, but it bounces off Sterling, and Scotland have got it back. Now Tierney in the centre circle, still 0-0. Fascinating match this. Tierney scoops it forward, Dykes turns away, forced out into the full-back position, and Scotland have it near the corner flag. McGregor's out there as well for Scotland, and Phillips is with him, and it's played out cleverly by McGregor off the shins of Phillips, and Scotland have their first corner of the match with the score 0-0. Just watching the England substitutes warming up, a couple of them over there. You haven't noticed anything in terms of central defenders?
No, I don't. Mings, Stones, they seem to be moving quite well, so I don't know what the problem is.
Corner then from out on the right for Scotland, and Scotland are putting pressure on Jordan Pickford. There are 4 Scotland players joined by a 5th in the 6-yard box. They've got Jordan Pickford almost surrounded there, and there are England defenders in there as well. And if I know anything about Antonio Matteo Lahoz, He was not going to let that go without a stern word, which he does now. Right, well, we know where this is going in the 6-yard box. Here's the delivery from Gilmore. Pickford comes, gets a punch on it in amongst all of those players in white and blue, and does well, the Everton goalkeeper. And Foden flicks it forward. Sterling will do well to get to that. Tierney beats him to it on the halfway line and plays it back to Marshall.
Tierney's had a great game so far, hasn't he? Look, left side of the three, played well, went and joined in, made the chance for O'Donnell, which his shot was great, saved by Pickford, but him and Robertson linked up very, very well down that left-hand side.
England 0, Scotland 0. Half-time, 6 minutes away. Scotland on the back foot, on the defensive now, as Luke Shaw carries the ball forward, roared on by the majority of this Wembley crowd. Sterling back towards Rice, and now Rice again to Luke Shaw, but Scotland are back in position here. This Scotland team under Steve Clarke that has been very difficult to beat. They lost only 2 of their last 16 coming into the tournament. James on the right, James back towards Foden. Foden looks up, Phillips, and then Foden carries it all the way back to the halfway line where he gives it to John Stones, and he will turn it across to Tyrone Mings. And now here's Declan Rice. Rice to Sterling. Sterling is being patrolled very closely by Billy Gilmore. The ball rolls out of play. Final touch from Gilmore, throwing to England 10 yards inside the Chelsea half, which Shaw takes back to Declan Rice. So England have it again near the centre circle. Mings turns back to his left and gives it to Luke Shaw, who had to stretch high there to keep the ball in play, but he does so. Back to West Ham's Declan Rice. We saw the West Ham manager David Moyes, didn't we, for a little chat earlier in the day. Back it comes to the halfway line to Stones. Stones takes it on, plays it through the middle. Phillips now back to Reece James over there on the right hand side. James, misplaced pass from James, passed it straight onto the chest of his Chelsea teammate Gilmore, and now John McGinn through the middle, but Scotland turn with Adams and go back into their own territory, and almost for the first time in the half, just slightly standing off one another.
Yep, pace has dropped a bit, but you've got to say, John, 40 minutes, Scotland's been the better team. England's had probably the best 2 chances, you've got to say, but in general play, Scotland have controlled this game, the pace of the game.
England 0, Scotland 0. I'm told that our entertainment correspondent Colin Patterson, who's a fervent Scotland fan, is up in the stands somewhere, very close to Billy Gilmore's parents, who are in. What a proud day for them to see Billy Gilmore starting for Scotland for the first time on an occasion like this. 0-0. England, remember, if England win this game tonight, they'll be certain of a place in the last 16. Stones on the halfway line. Scotland just want to get their first points on the board. Reece to the right. Reece James back to Mount. Mount's ball to the edge of the penalty area. Phillips is there. Challengers come in. It bounces into Tierney and is cleared away by the Arsenal man towards the centre circle. Rice wins the header. England have it again.
They need half-time, Scotland. They're going back and back. England are getting the possession. They're not hurting them yet, but they've got a lot of possession. Scotland's dropped at least 20 yards.
3 minutes of the first 45 to play. England just beginning to crank it up here, as Chris Waddle told you. Mount now to the right corner of the penalty area. James is there as well, comes back to Mason Mount, then further back, and it's taken on through the middle by John Stones actually, but Stones runs into trouble centrally, and Scotland have got it back, and in fact it'll be sprinted forward by Andy Robertson. Foden went with him though, and then back it goes into central defence to Grant Handley, the middle man of the central three. Stout defender, Grant Handley. O'Donnell now of Motherwell, the right wing back. O'Donnell flights the ball into the centre circle. McGinn takes it down, moves away from Declan Rice, holds him off as Rice comes in. Now Robertson, the Scotland fans are interested. McGregor forward of the centre circle. O'Donnell on the right hand side. Scotland have got 3 men on the edge of the England penalty area. Gilmore just drops a shoulder, then whips the ball to his left to Tierney. Tierney will carry it on. Foden comes across, still going Tierney. Little ball to Gilmore, but Gilmore, it's very congested centrally. Lots of white England shirts are there. So Scotland now move it to the right-hand side. O'Donnell with McTominay. Tall, blonde-haired. Now Gilmore again, O'Donnell. Run towards the right-hand side from McGregor, one of the 4 players that Steve Clarke brought in after the defeat in the opening match against the Czech Republic. Now it's Scotland keeping possession inside the England half, and you can hear the whistles from the home supporters. Adams is going to try a shot which takes a deflection off Tyrone Mings, which carries it well wide of goal. And Tyrone Mings, little exchange with Mason Mount there. An exchange of frustration, corner to Scotland.
Scotland dominating the game. They're moving the ball. They're all looking for it, every player. And you can't say that about the white shirts of England. There's only a few players who've turned up this first half. And I'm sure Gareth Southgate will be having strong words, or maybe make a couple of substitutions. They've been that poor.
Corner to Scotland. Robertson is going to take it. An in-swinger. Half-time. Well, we're in the 45th minute. Robertson takes it short. McGinn gives it back to him. Robertson swings it in. Looks as though he might have put too much onto that. Has he? No, it's headed back across from the far side, but straight to Phillips. And Phillips is able to clear it away. England had everyone back there, and the ball bounces into the Scotland half. So 0-0 it is. Still waiting for the opening goal of this latest encounter between England and Scotland. The old enemy. This their 100th competitive meeting, the 115th since that very first game back at the West of Scotland Cricket Club.
They've got no tempo about them, England, John. They don't seem to have any energy. There's 3 or 4 players obviously doing all right, but the majority of them, they don't seem to have any energy.
And there's half-time. There's the whistle. Just a couple of seconds played at the end of the first 45. So honours even. 0-0. Who's ahead on points?
Well, Pat'll be delighted. You've got to say Scotland have been the better side without really creating a part of O'Donnell's chances. Have not really threatened the goal, and you've got to say England had 2 glorious chances which they didn't take. But in general play, you've got to say Scotland were the better team first half.
Thoughts on the first half down pitch side in the rain from Pat Nevin?
Well, you can see from here the energy levels, the fight and the battle and the chasing. I mean, it's an amazing pace that this is going at just now. Also, John McGinn is still talking as we speak to the referee, still complaining about that yellow card. But Chris is right. I think Scotland can be delighted about that. I think their fans and Stevie Clarke will be very, very proud of them, because you can't make any more effort than that. However, as Chris has continued to say, and I agree with him, try to do that for 90 minutes against real quality, and looking at the players that England can bring on is still a concern for Scotland.
So there we are. John Stone's header hit the post. A couple of other chances for England. O'Donnell had that shot saved by Pickford. And at half-time, it's England 0, Scotland 0, and Mark Chapman is here with us at Wembley Stadium.
Jack Wilshere and Charlie Adam will join us in a moment as well. I mean, Pat, touchline, you talk about the pace of the game. It feels that Scotland, even though they haven't had anywhere near the same amount of possession that England have had, it feels that there's a purpose about Scotland, whereas England feels safe.
Do you remember the conversation we had before the game about the passion and being up for it, and us saying it's important that Scotland actually use the occasion? They are, aren't they? You can see they are. You can feel down here that they are. They needed to use that occasion and build themselves up to be that sort of battle. Christie said a great line about 10-15 minutes into the commentary. He goes, this game needs to calm down a bit, and I went, no it doesn't. We don't want that. We don't need that. And that's what it's been all about. It's kind of been played the way Scotland want it to play, and England want that sting to come out of the game at some point. Scotland have not let it happen yet, so call it passion, call it sting, call it energy, you call it anything you like, but Scotland want that tempo and need that tempo if they're going to get any chance again. A calm football match and England will eventually win it.
Jack Wilshere, do you feel that England are being a bit safe?
I feel they're moving the ball too slow. I think we need to push the fullbacks higher to create the space, and then sort of little pockets inside pockets for your Fodens, your Mount. Mount's got in there a few times and played a lovely couple of passes to Sterling, but we need to get it over to the other side as well. I spoke about it last game. We need to, the spaces on the other side, and I'm not talking wide, I'm talking just in the other side of their midfielders, and if we can do that quickly, we'll create some chances.
The good thing when you watch, from a Scottish point of view, Charlie, is that okay, they do try and knock it around, but what they have as well is they have an outlet, don't they, in both Dykes and Adams. So if they need to go long, they can go long. because Dykes invariably is winning it in the air, or if Shea Adams just drops slightly, the England centre-halves aren't going with him, and he then can bring it down and turn.
Yeah, Chappell's, the space is incredible. The Declan's, he can't do everything, you know, and Adams is dropping into that pocket where he can get on the half turn and then run into defence. And at times Scotland are trying to put the ball in too quick, and then we got an opportunity where Tierney did a little, you know, down the line, did a Cruyff turn, took the sting at the play, crossed it in, O'Donnell had the shot. So listen, I think Scotland have been magnificent. You know, like Jack said, I don't think England have moved it quick enough. I think they've had one or two little bits over the top, but everything seems to be in front of Scotland, unless it's, I noticed that it's Sterling and Mount who, once Mount gets on the ball, it's when Raheem wants to start, you know, wanting to run in behind. Apart from that, he doesn't really want to get involved in the game, and it looks, everything's in front of him. Declan's a wonderful player, but at times I just want to see him get it out his feet and go and hit that long switch, or like Jack said, drop it into Foden on the in beside McGregor and try and get out to Reece James on the opposite side. So no, at the moment it's great for Scotland, but on an England perspective, it's not the levels that they expected.
No, that's where the problems have come for Scotland, as you say, Jack, down their sort of right channel, the Scott McTominay area, and Mount has found Sterling with that ball a couple of times, but then they haven't been able to do a great deal with it.
Yeah, you know, that's on. That definitely is on in that space. But going back to what Charlie said with Deck, and when Shea Adams is pulling off, you've been there, Charlie, where you're in that deep lying position, you've got a man in front of you, and you think you've got him, and then all of a sudden someone pulls off the centre half, and the centre half don't go with him. If that's me, I want my centre half to go and win that ball.
Yeah, because he's got to trust himself that Shea Adams won't run away from him. It's like tonight, about when Hanley goes in and wins a tackle in Kane. In the previous game, Kane was allowed to turn, and then all of a sudden he opened the game up for England. Tonight, Hanley's gone every way with him and put pressure on him, and he's not had a kick of the ball. So that's where, like I say, Declan's probably thinking, I've got my man, but all of a sudden the striker pulls off the side. Your centre-back's got to go and step in and trust, you know, the position he's in.
Yeah, 100%.
And from your vantage point, Pat, I mean, Dykes is winning every header, isn't he? Apart from the one where Stones went right over the top of it and conceded the foul. Dykes is getting the leap on them back there.
It's funny you should say that, because if you were going to come to me, I was going to say exactly that. Because Scotland have to play direct sometimes, and you know, if they play it into Adams holding the ball up is absolutely magnificent. I mean, he's light years ahead of anyone else in the Scotland team for that, so he's good at link-up play. But sometimes you'll need to go along because you're under a little bit of pressure. And he's bullying. He's absolutely bullying. We chatted about this before the game, didn't we? And I said, well, he's got to go on Stones, because it's going to be tough against Mings. Really tough against Mings. But he's got to go against Stones. And he has. He's kind of bullied them for most of this game. He's getting the flick-ons, he's holding it up now and again. But it's just pushing them back that a little bit more. And they're really not enjoying it, that back line. And considering, you know, watched Dykes playing against Czech Republic, and he hardly won anything. He really didn't win much at all. Maybe it was the quality of the ball as well. But in this game, oh wow, he's up for it. I mean, I don't want to bring too old a names in, but Joe Jordan, you know, he's just getting in there, throwing elbows and everything. And it just needs one of them to break the right way, down to either Adams or whoever, you know, again running on. And Scotland could have a good chance.
Adams had a wonderful chance, didn't he, with a cut back after about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
If he takes a touch and sees where he is in the goal, he's got a free strike goal. I don't think he hits it clean enough. And obviously Stones blocks it away. But no, listen, Scotland have been magnificent so far.
And also, by the way, don't mention about mentioning old names in the history of football. That's all very relevant. It's certainly more relevant than video killed the radio style from these two in the commentary box during the first half. The other thing that we should mention, because if Jordan Pickford makes a rick, Jack, everybody's over it straight away and criticising him. But that was a world-class save from O'Donnell, because it came through a crowd, so his view was blocked and he had to get down low.
Yeah, no, it's a great save. I've always rated him, to be honest. I've been in a couple of squads with him. I've seen his ability, his distribution is obviously one of his strong points, and probably why he gets the nod above the others. But he can do that as well. He's a great shot stopper, and I mean, if you don't save that, the game's we're 1-0 down and we're chasing the game, because Scotland will sit in if that happens. And we need to be careful that doesn't happen going into the second half.
Jack, Charlie for the moment, thank you. Earlier on it finished Czech Republic 1, Croatia 1. Sweden beat Slovakia by 1-0, and here at Wembley it is goalless between England and Scotland. Second half on the way. Richard Foster has the news.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
A study by Public Health England suggests a single dose of the Pfizer or AstraZeneca vaccine reduces the risk of hospital treatment for COVID by up to 75%. Latest Office for National Statistics figures suggest 1 in every 540 people in the UK is currently infected with COVID. Nicola Sturgeon says all adults in Scotland will have a first dose of vaccine by the 18th of July. That's 2 weeks ahead of schedule. From Monday, non-essential travel from Scotland to Manchester and Salford will be banned because of high levels of the virus there. A Conservative MP is to stand trial charged with sexually assaulting a 15-year-old boy in 2008. Imran Ahmed Khan, who represents Wakefield in West Yorkshire, is alleged to have groped the teenager in Staffordshire. He strongly denies the charge. The Lib Dems say their victory in the Chesham and Amersham by-election means they're now the main threat to the Conservatives in many areas. Sarah Green overturned a big Tory majority to win by more than 8,000 votes. And Christian Eriksen's been discharged from hospital after a successful operation to fit a heart-starting device. He had a cardiac arrest during Denmark's defeat by Finland in Copenhagen last Saturday.
The ultimate Glastonbury experience.
100,000 people were screaming.
I'm the bad guy.
What a year that was. Waiting for the sun to come up at the Stone Circle.
Everyone is smiling.
It was bliss.
Get that Glastonbury feeling with classic festival moments, new performances and more. The Glastonbury Experience from next week. Stream on BBC iPlayer, listen on BBC Sounds.
The wait is over.
Euro 2020.
With Mark Chapman on BBC Radio 5 Live.
Well, as John was mentioning in commentary, could be a sensational story developing at the US Open Golf. Ian Carter.
Yeah, the 48-year-old Englishman Richard Bland still at the top of the leaderboard. He's played quite brilliantly today and has signed for a second round 67, 4 under par on the day, 5 under par overall, and the 48-year-old is leading the US Open as it stands at the moment by 1 shot from Russell Henley, the overnight leader, by 2 from Bubba Watson, who was round in 67, and Louis Oosthuizen, who still has 2 holes to play. And then in our commentary tonight from 11 o'clock on Sports Extra, we'll be looking at Francesco Molinari at 3 under, Rafa Cabrera Bello at 3 under. John Rahm has just is nearly finished actually at 2 under with 3 to play, and Brooks Koepka, a danger man, at 2 under par. Quick word on Rory McIlroy, a 73 today, 2 birdies in the last 4 holes, very important for him to keep him in the hunt, but at 1 over par, he's 6 shots off the lead.
As Ian says, the golf on Sports Extra from 11 on there now. Super League, Wigan 0, Hull KR 6, a latest score. It's also Huddersfield 2, Salford 8 in the same competition. In the All-British quarter-final at Queen's, Jack Draper was beaten in straight sets by Cameron Norrie. Dan Evans went out earlier. Rain meant no play was possible on the opening day of Cricket's World Test Championship between India and New Zealand. Weather also affected the test between England's women and India. India 83 for 1 in their second innings, so they're still 82 runs short, making England bat again when play ended for the day. An alcohol-free won the Coronation Stakes at Royal Ascot. 6:06 follows the conclusion of England-Scotland here on 5 Live with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton.
It certainly does, Chappers. 08285 909 693. Christopher, Scotland performed well in that first half. Do you think the bench for England will come into play in the second half?
Oh, yeah, well, I think so, Rob. I mean, don't you? I think Kane has looked lethargic. Raheem Sterling hasn't looked at it. Listening to the halftime analysis, I think England have moved the ball too slowly, and I think the name on everybody's lips, Rob, is Jack Grealish. I mean, the question is, should Gareth have played a different front line to start the game? I don't think he should. I think England were excellent against Croatia. They look a bit fearful, Rob, to me. Don't know what you think.
Against a team ranked 44th in the world, Chris, and when they beat Croatia, football's coming home.
That's coming home in Wales as well. What about ridiculous celebrations over there? Blimey. Oh, they won the tournament, the Welsh. Come on. You're better than that, Rob. Come on.
08285 909 693, Chaffers.
Yeah, just one quick one. Mark Chapman said it was a world-class save from Jordan Pickford. Come on. Wasn't world class. It was a
low
good
down,
save.
low down.
Wasn't
through a crowd.
world class.
Low
Come
down.
on, it wasn't
through a crowd. Anyhow, I've got better things to do than...
Could have caught it.
Well, either argue with you or talk to you, so we'll fade you out. They're on the way later on. Pat Nevin and Chris Waddle still here at Wembley as England come back out already. The fair point in all of that, Pat, is actually the benches could make a difference here, couldn't they?
They will make a difference. I'm absolutely convinced about it. And I know a lot of the fans are saying it, but Jack Grealish, if I'm Scottish and I'm thinking, who do I not want to come on now? It's actually Jack Grealish, because he can open up defences, he can get those little spaces, and there will be more space developed in this second half. So as a Scotsman and as Stevie Clark, he's the last guy you want to see coming on now.
Chris Waddle, Jack Grealish would carry a threat rather than that ball over the top into the channel being England's main threat. Grealish would carry it and take the threat to Scotland.
I think he'll give it 15 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if he puts Grealish on, and rightly so. He draws free kicks in in dangerous areas as well, which helps. But I would put Rashford on as well in the first, if nothing changes in the first 15-20 minutes.
Both teams back on, assistant referees back here, the referee the last man to enter the field, so all eyes are on him. And the way he officiated at times in that first half, John Murray, I think that's the way he likes it.
Yeah, I think he very much takes a leaf out of the Pierluigi Collina playbook. So here he is in the on the pitch near the centre circle, just looking at his watch. No changes at half-time, so England still with Pickford in goal. A back four of James, Stones, Mings and Shaw. Midfield, Rice with Phillips and Mount either side as England get the second half underway to a roar. Phil Foden and Raheem Sterling either side of Harry Kane, and the Scotland team, Marshall in goal, McTominay, Hanley and Tierney the three central defenders, O'Donnell and Robertson the wing backs, Gilmore, McGregor, McGinn, Dykes and Adams. So the second half underway with the scoreline England 0, Scotland 0. England who started off with a victory, Scotland who started off with a defeat. Dykes on the halfway line, flicks it on, but England have it back. Shaw plays the ball over the top, looking for the run of Mount to the edge of the area, but Hanley moved across, headed it away. Here's Sterling on the left-hand side. Sterling, quietish first half from Raheem Sterling, the man who was the star man on here's Shaw playing the ball across from the left-hand side, but quickly adjusting. Tierney in the middle, Kane was behind him, and Tierney was able to adjust and put it behind for a corner.
Great run by Luke Shaw, positive start. I'm sure they've had words in the change room how poor they played first half, and that's a good start. Great run by Shaw.
Corner from the left-hand side then for England. Remember, Stones in the first half got up and headed against the post from a corner. Here's the delivery into the near post. Foden looking for the flick on, but that was blocked away by Tierney behind him, and Phillips loses out. And Scotland look to break on the counter-attack, but Shaw steps in, and England have it again over on the left-hand side with Mount. England in the second half, as they like to do at Wembley, playing from left to right, so towards where the bulk of England's supporters are, although they are spaced all around the stadium. Scotland fans, much tartan in evidence, all the saltires as well to our left. Saltires there, St George's crosses to the right, England with the ball on the field, all in white, or at least with the red trim, and Scotland in the navy with the white trim. Here is Mings in the centre circle. Mings rolls it across towards Luke Shaw, and now a ball, low ball, whipped in centrally to Sterling, who's going off on one of those direct runs. Gives it to Kane though on the edge of the area. Kane back to Sterling. Sterling now turns, plays it across to the near post. Mount was there, but Robertson went with him, and it was the Scotland captain who got the meaningful touch there to clear it back out towards the far side. Now Mount cutting in, shooting, and Marshall goes down and gets his gloves to it. And that was hit at some pace by Mason Mount, and Marshall deflected it wide with his palms.
It's a completely different team from the first half. They've upped the tempo, they're moving the ball quicker, there's more options. Sterling's been very lively, and Mount, a terrific effort. It's a good save by Marshall.
that very nearly found a way past Marshall. The deflection took it just past the post from the goalkeeper's gloves. Another corner to England from the left-hand side. Mount plays it in. Foden looking for the flick, but he's flicked it straight behind the near post. And the ball bouncing around in the stands behind, down where Pat Nevin is.
Yeah, just that shot beforehand there. Marshall goes down to his right-hand side. Now, I'm not going to say it was world-class because somebody will still be listening, right? But it was a brilliant save. A better one than it looks because it's so zippy down here. The pace of it was absolutely magnificent. He's never going to get full palms on it. He just gets down to his right and saves it. He's going to get put under a lot of pressure, and I agree. Left-hand side, England look like a far, far better team to start this second half. Shaw desperate to get forward, Sterling in the mood.
And the lines are open for 606 to join in the 5 Live phone in with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton on 08085 909 693. You can text 85058 or get in touch, hashtag BBC 606. And that will follow 5 Live Sport round about 10:15 this evening, and we'll bring you as well as many live interviews as we can get on air from down on the touchline here at Wembley Stadium. And if you miss them when they're on live on the radio, you can catch up on the 5 Live Daily Euros podcast. Just download the Sounds app, search for Daily Euros and subscribe to it, and you will get it as if by magic every morning. Here's Marshall to take the goal kick after an overhit pass downfield. Marshall, right-footed towards the far side. That is going to drift over the top of O'Donnell, straight out of play, and it's an England throw on the halfway line. Went out of play, just almost split the distance between Steve Clarke and Gareth Southgate, standing there with their coats on this wet Friday night in northwest London. Phillips. Now Shaw plays it infield, but McTominay steps across. McTominay through the middle, gets it back, keeps his feet after the pass from Adams, but Mings will get there ahead of Dykes on the edge of the D. Goes to ground and clears it out of play for a throw on the halfway line. Got Chris Waddle here with us up in the commentary box in the stands. Chris played at the Euros, played at the World Cup for England, and Pat Nevin is down behind the goal that David Marshall is defending. Pat, who played for Scotland at the Euros. Throw in for Scotland that Robertson will take. Andy Robertson just waiting, ball held in his hands above his head, waiting for the movement. Billy Gilmour, his first start for Scotland, playing the ball back to goalkeeper Marshall. Passes it out of the penalty area to McTominay, who had to be quick there, but he was, to the Motherwell man, O'Donnell, out there on the far side. Left-footed ball from him up towards Dykes, but Mings comes in tight on him, beats Dykes. Ball bounces down, Phillips and McGinn together. Then it's up towards Shea Adams, who turns, plays well, gives the ball down the left-hand side to Robertson. Robertson looks up, here's the ball across, but Stones was in position. It bounces off James. Robertson was very nearly in onto Reece James, but he was aware of the danger. The Chelsea right back, Harry Kane, challenged and beaten by Grant Hanley, and Scotland have it again near the halfway line.
Well,
Chris,
it's a threat there. Scotland, great ball by Adams, but the problem is Adams linking the play well. There's only Dykes arriving in the box for an early cross by Robertson, and there's 3 England defenders. They've got to try and get McGinn or whoever, when Adams drops deep, to run beyond and make that second strike up to have an extra body in the box. But at the minute, Scotland started very slowly, but they're just coming back into the game now.
the other match in this group, if you haven't heard, finished as a draw earlier. We had the commentary live from Hampden with Ali Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton, who you'll hear later on 606. It finished Croatia 1, Czech Republic 1. So the Czechs currently top of the group with 4 points, then England with 3, Croatia with 1, and Scotland yet to win a point, yet to score a goal. Not win a point or scored a goal at a major tournament since France 98. England with the ball halfway inside the Scottish half. I did very much like what Charlie Adam told us earlier, the fact that Scotland's only 2 previous wins at the European Championship and their 2 previous visit to the finals were both on the 18th of June. Here's Rice, who plays it back to Mings. Mings now to the left-hand side. Sterling takes it on and then begins to cut infield. Sterling looks across and sees James there, and James now to Foden on the right-hand side. 3 England men in the box. Foden with the cross, but straight onto the head of Tierney, who's able to head it away under no particular pressure. And then James goes back towards the halfway line. Darkness just beginning to take effect. Floodlights are brightly on now on the Wembley turf, the wet Wembley turf after all of the rain today. Here's James on the right. James going back to Stones, who has his wavy hair plastered to his head by the moisture. And then back to Jordan Pickford, who made a very good save in the first half from Stephen O'Donnell. That was the best opportunity that Scotland had, or the closest they came. England with Rice. The Tartan Army are lively to our left in the stands of Wembley. Mings now marches forward towards the halfway line with the ball at his feet. Luke Shaw goes back to Mings again. Harry Kane made a run there, but the pass didn't come. Phillips actually dropping between the central defenders. Calvin Phillips gives it to James, and then again Phillips, and this is not doing Scotland any harm here. England just knocking the ball around in the central third of the field. Mings, and then Harry Kane very nearly on the halfway line gives it back to Mings, and then Kane trots further forward. Kane making a run down now into the right back area, but still England with it in the central third. Declan Rice.
To be fair, John, they've got a lot of ball in them, but they're going nowhere, and everybody who gets it just wants to pass back and square. There's nobody who wants to take any risk, take anybody on. You know, you want your Fodens and your Sterlings and your Mounts to go and make something happen. That's why they're in the team. And at the minute, they're just passing the ball easy. They're not going anywhere. And I can see subs coming on the next 5 minutes, definitely.
Yeah, there's at least two of them warming up over there. I'm sure Pat can see who they are. But here's Foden now, cutting in from the right-hand side. Round about the point from where Calvin Phillips played that pass that set up the Sterling goal at the weekend. Shaw now to the left-hand side. Kane cuts back onto his right foot. Kane's ball to the edge of the area. James controls it, shoots, but the ball flies away by 2 or 3 feet over the top of the Scottish crossbar.
You would think he hit the target from, what was he, just inside the D there. Great vision by Harry Kane from that left-hand side to spot him. Fizzes it into him. It's a good first touch, and he's not really confident enough with the strike, but you're just looking at that front four with Mount, and there's just not enough happening. So I could understand if Gareth in the next 5-6 minutes thinks I've got to change it, because we need to, you know, we've got a lot of possession but nothing's happening.
Well, the players who aren't on the bench tonight for England: Bukayo Saka, Ben White and Kyle Walker. So by a process of elimination, you will work out that Grealish is there, Rashford is there, Sancho is involved today. He wasn't in the 23 against Croatia. And Jude Bellingham, of course, among the substitutes too, the 17-year-old. Marshall clearing the ball forward. It's headed in field by Robertson. Still 0-0 if you've just switched onto us on BBC Radio 5 Live. 6:06 on the way, the phone in. Chris and Robbie will want your Scotland calls as well as your England calls, whatever unfolds over the course of the remaining 35 minutes or so. Marshall, right-footed ball from the Scotland goalkeeper. Shaw wins the header, 10 yards inside his own half. McGregor now to Dykes, chests it down on the right-hand side. McGregor continues his run. Mings goes to ground. Dykes has got away from him though. Dykes taking it on, a left foot shot, hits the back of Adams. He's near the penalty spot, shoots on the turn. That was blocked by Stones inside the box, and the ball bounces favourably for England and for Foden, who's able to take it away. And Scotland have committed men downfield, so it's England who break. Harry Kane bursting forward, he's between two Scotland men. He was pulled back, he was tugged back.
Gilmour.
And the free kick is given England's way.
Yeah, Gilmour, deliberate. He tried to bring Harry Kane down there to stop the counter-attack by England, but he's having a word with him. I think he's going to let him off, but you could see what he was trying to do, but Shea Adams just couldn't get the ball out of his feet, and that was a great counter-attack by Scotland.
I must say I was expecting Billy Gilmour to be shown the yellow card on his first Scotland start there, but just a word, that was all from referee La Hoz. Certainly opened up for Scotland at the other end. When Mings went to ground, Dykes got away from him, and Shea Adams wasn't too far away. Free kick for England though. 0-0 still the score. And Foden standing to the left of the ball, Mount to the right. Foden left-footed plays it in, and it's headed up and behind. In fact, it's landed in the gloves of David Marshall.
Offside anyway.
The offside flag was up anyway, so it's a free kick to Scotland at that end of the of Wembley Stadium, where Pat Nevin is watching from just behind the hoardings.
You mentioned that Billy Gilmour, you should have been booked. Good argument for that, but it's also brilliant play, because England were away there and he saw the danger, brilliantly moved to stop the danger at source with Harry Kane running with the ball. A few moments before that, you will have noticed McTominay going into midfield and driving forward watch Billy Gilmore there. Walked straight back into his position and covered. I have to say, I think there's an argument Billy Gilmore's been the best player in the park for Scotland today. He's been absolutely magnificent. Controlled large parts of that midfield, which is an extraordinary thing to say from such a young player in his debut, or first start anyway.
England 0, Scotland 0 in this Euro 2020 showpiece occasion. Live sport beginning tonight and carrying on all over the course of the weekend. The Rugby League on Sports Extra. It's Wigan 0, Hull Chaos 6. That's the latest score. Listen to that on Sports Extra and via BBC Sound. Sterling turns and sets off on a run towards the edge of the box. Runs into Hanley. Foden takes it up. Shaw looks. Shaw plays it in. Foden with the attempted flick. Headed away. Comes out to James. And then James back to Rice. Reece James receives it again, then plays it to Kane just outside the box. Oh, lovely change of feet. Hits the shot. That was blocked by, well, there were two Scotsmen in front of that. They blocked it, and Scotland are able to get it away. Lovely first touch by the England captain, but the shot was blocked at source.
It was. He got him onto his left foot, and yes, it was very well blocked. And it's becoming a game now. The tempo on both sides. Scotland have put a massive lot of effort in this game so far tonight. England have just upped it. They've got a couple of subs, Grealish and Rashford, ready to come on, I think, in the next 5 minutes. Yeah,
huge cheer for Jack Grealish again. He's such a home favourite, an England favourite, as well as being an Aston Villa favourite. Huddersfield 8, Salford 8 is the other latest score in the Super League. Here's Foden on the right-hand side for England. Turns, gives it back towards James. James then towards Mings, forward of the centre circle. Mason Mount drops a little deeper. Low ball into Sterling on the edge of the box. Mount takes it on past McTominay. Oh, McTominay does well though, sticks out a foot, blocks the cross. It's behind. It's another England corner. Chris
England's got a lot of possession. I know they're not working the goalie enough, but they keep knocking on the door. But give Scotland credit, they are really digging in.
Still waiting for the opening goal here at Wembley in the rain. Mount to take this time 4 England men grouped around the penalty spot. Here's Mount's delivery from the corner. Mings tried to fling a leg at it, not sure he got any touch on it at all, and Scotland were able to clear it. And then Tierney hits it downfield. O'Donnell gets a touch, but Luke Shaw knocks it right across the pitch, and then Pickford comes out of his area and swirls the ball downfield. That could be a very good ball. Sterling's onto it. Sterling into the box, moving from left to right. He's got support now. Foden arrives, but in comes the challenge from Robertson on Phil Foden. Foden is sent sprawling. Robertson comes away with the ball. Dykes is down in the centre circle. Scotland now countering the counter-attack. Shea Adams out here on the left-hand side. And then suddenly the pace just drops.
I think that'll be Raheem Sterling's last tackling goal to see. I think he's got to make substitutions. It's not happening for England. Yes, they've upped the tempo, they're moving the ball a bit quicker, but in that final third, that's not happening at all for especially the Wade men. And Harry Kane has improved as the game's gone on, but just don't look like they're going to score England.
McGinn turns away from Rice, gives it to the right-hand side. O'Donnell with a crossing. Dykes with a chance. No, Mings just got there first. I thought that was going to beat Mings. Dykes was behind him, but Mings' header takes it over the top of the bar.
Totally agree. I thought he just missed that, and Dykes was middle of the goal, 4 yards out. You would have said that would have been a goal. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, a really good break for Scotland. They just don't seem to be frightened about anything at all just now. I thought they would start getting tired, but now they haven't. Word about Grealish, desperate to get on. They're not going to bring him on a corner kick. By the way, match director here. Big screens up here. They showed a close-up of Grealish 3 or 4 minutes ago. Massive roar around this place. Put huge pressure on to England to bring him on, and he's coming on soon.
Okay, from the corner, Scotland are crowding Pickford. Here's the delivery in. Hanley tried to get to it. Dykes with a shot. It's headed off the line. Reece James came across. That looked goal-bound, and he very calmly just took a step to his left and headed it away. That was heading for the top corner.
Wow, what a great bit of defensive work, as you say, John. That was going in.
So England hit the post in the first half, and Scotland there see a goal-bound effort from Lyndon Dykes, cleared away by the head of Reece James. Vitally important for England, and that keeps the score at 0-0. And here's the change. It's not going to be Raheem Sterling. It's actually Phil Foden who makes way. So Sterling stays on, Foden comes off.
Well, strange one for me, that. I thought out of the two of them, I definitely thought Foden was the better player tonight, but he obviously thinks there's a goal in Sterling, and he gets in good positions. He's got that pace, so that's an interesting one. But I think he'll give Sterling another 5-10 minutes. I think Rashford will be the next one on.
Listen to this. A huge Wembley cheer for Jack Grealish, the Aston Villa captain, coming on for his first taste of a major senior tournament. Jack Grealish winning his 8th cap for England against Scotland here. And the number 7 is on. David Beckham is watching up in the stands. And Scotland coming forward though, and they win another corner.
Well, you've got a bit, I tell you what, Scotland's been very proud of their players tonight, haven't they? They've put an unbelievable shift in. They have been, you've got to say, the better team, the more hungrier, the more confident, which I was surprised.
McGinn wins this corner. Robertson goes across to take it. Robertson just raises his right arm, looking to swing it in again. Lots of bodies in the 6-yard box. In it goes. Pickford comes, gets a right uppercut on that with his left fist. Sent the ball arcing away out of the 6-yard box. And Pickford, of all people, seems to be telling his teammates to calm down. Well, Gareth Southgate says that he has improved his composure. So it is still 0-0. James to take the throw. 6:06 on the way with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton from round about 10:15 on 5 Live. 08085 909 693 to tell the world what you think of what happens here tonight. Mings passing it forward towards Shaw. A choice as well later on in the evening. The commentary on the second round of the US Open is on 5 Live Sports Extra from 11 o'clock right into the early hours, with Richard Bland leading. Here's Declan Rice back here in London. Declan Rice to Stones. Mount's available, but Stones is reluctant to pass it that way. It finds its way to Mount in any case. From Phillips. Mount now skipping in from the left-hand side. Already seen one shot, very well saved by Marshall. Sterling back towards Phillips. Now here's Grealish into the action. No, he's not, because O'Donnell steps in, comes back to Grealish though. Grealish against McTominay, takes it to the byline, crosses it into the legs of the Manchester United man. Corner to England.
Not like he could do there with the ball, Grealish, was it? 2 men round him. Couple of touches, gets to the byline, plays it off McTominay for a corner, which have not been the best. Mason Mount's deliveries tonight have not been the best.
25 minutes to go here. England 0, Scotland 0. So Mason Mount to take the corner, just runs his hands through his wet hair. And here's the delivery from Mason Mount to the near post. Attempted flick by Phillips, cleared away by McGinn. And the ball bounces away to Jack Grealish, who's got his white England socks down round his calves. And Grealish passes it to James. And then England with John Stones on the halfway line. So still 0-0 the score. Craig Burley was the last man to score a goal for Scotland at a major tournament back in '98. They're still searching for their first one since then, and they've conceded a free kick over on the far side. Scott McTominay, free kick to England out on the left flank.
Yeah, he goes down the back of Grealish. You know, Grealish does draw fouls, doesn't he, a lot. He just knows how to when they're going to hit him, he goes down quite easily, and he gets a lot of free kicks.
It's a huge factor to win as many free kicks as he does, and they've got this set piece now in a position where it can be whipped in, dropped in from the far side. Luke Shaw in discussions with Mason Mount. Scotland holding the line outside of the penalty area. Shaw, a signal from both Shaw and then Mount. It is Shaw who plays it in high towards the back post. It's beaten everyone. Tyrone Mings was the man at the back post who turns and plays it back towards Phillips, and then Phillips to Jack Grealish. Fair hair bobbing as he turns, opens his body, uses Raheem Sterling. Sterling now just walking the ball up towards the corner of the box. Calvin Phillips is there, little ball in, just a poke from him, bounces off Mings and is cleared away by Adams into the centre circle. Reece James allows it to bounce and will just see it back to goalkeeper Pickford with his right foot. So we're midway through the second half and it's still goalless,
yeah,
Chris.
I've got to say England have lacked ideas tonight. Quality in the final third, and
Shaw playing the ball forward. That's up towards Kane. Kane tried to give it back to Grealish. An important touch from McTominay, and Scotland deal with it. Just that ball. Yeah, it felt like Kane might have been in there.
Yeah, he's looked very leggy tonight though, Harry Kane.
England Grealish plays it back out to Mount on the left-hand side. Shaw is there. Strong challenge comes in from him. Good one, though it was. And Scotland are able to clear it into the England half. Mings sends it back high and forward up towards the edge of the area. McTominay heads that one away. Calvin Phillips goes down rather easily. There wasn't too much contact there from McGinn, but enough, says referee Lahoz, and it's a free kick.
Giving too many free kicks away, Scotland, at the minute. They're inviting the ball into the box, but for their sake, the quality's not been good. So
England, who have won their last 7 matches, the last 3 1-0. Grealish bringing the ball into the box on the left-hand side, tried to lay it off to a teammate on the edge of the area, but the only men who were there were in all navy blue. Shea Adams bringing it away, giving it to Robertson. Robertson runs it into the centre circle. McGinn is way off the ball, ended flat on his face.
I thought it was Luke Shaw pushed him or Mings. Somebody's tripped him up as he started and blocked him off.
And McGinn on his knees then puts both palms apart to referee Lahoz. Scotland meanwhile just keep possession inside their own territory. And we have just over 20 minutes to play at Wembley. More substitutes warming up on the far side, and 3 Scotland substitutes as well. So Steve Clarke, John Carver, I think that is, standing not too... No, it's Stephen Reid, isn't it, who's standing over there, not too far away from him, obviously in discussions. Now Mount bounces off McGregor. Gilmour plays it forward to McGinn. McGinn turns strong against Calvin Phillips in centre field. Now Robertson on the left-hand side. Looks up, thought about the ball to the edge of the box. Thinks again because Tierney's arrived. Now McGregor to little Gilmour. Heavy first touch, but he's able to keep possession. Scotland to Robertson again. Now Gilmour winning his first full cap here. What a day for him and his family. His parents are up in the stands, as we heard. Here is McTominay for Scotland. England having to be content with watching Scotland in possession, but Tierney drives it forward and that ball just runs away harmlessly for a goal kick.
John, there's some tail legs there, not just in England shirts, definitely Scotland, and it's been interesting that Steve Clarke is thinking of taking maybe Dakes off, who looks very leggy. McGregor's feeling the pace. There's 2 or 3 Scottish players look very, very tired.
Pickford takes the goal kick. Going to go down to Pat Nevin again in a moment or two. Kane tries to flick this on, but Hanley did well. The bearded Norwich City man won the header. He's taken a little bit of a bang, but he's okay. And McTominay passing it up towards John McGinn. There aren't too many goals in this Scotland squad in terms of how many they've scored in international football. John McGinn, the only one of them who's reached double figures after his excellent qualifying campaign as Scotland won through with those final 2 penalty shootouts. Robertson. Tierney goes back into his own half, and McGregor's happy to allow it to run.
England just can't get the ball, can they? Let's be honest, Scotland's had it now for 10, 15, 20 passes. England look flat, completely flat. They look really tired, England.
And so we move into the last 20 minutes. Gareth Southgate, you would think, must be considering more changes.
He's got to, John. They don't look like they're going to score.
Rice playing it through to Kane, lays it off at close quarters to Mount. Now Sterling, it's straight into an offside position. And it's a free kick to Scotland.
Got to get somebody on who's a bit fresh, whether it be a Sancho or Rashford, somebody who may just bring that spark which the England need, because they're very, very flat at the minute.
Sterling on the right, Grealish on the left, Kane through the middle. So it's a goal kick, and David Marshall placing this ball very carefully. The final matches in this group, you'll hear them on 5 Live. Tuesday night, England will be here again. We'll be back at Wembley to bring you England against Czech Republic, and at the same time, 8 o'clock, Scotland play Croatia at Hampden. And with this scoreline, it is going down to the final night to decide who goes through, and whether this group will be one of the 4 from which the 3rd place team gets through. Shaw wins the header. Grealish now just holding off the challenge that comes in on him from O'Donnell, and that's a free kick to England halfway inside their own half. By the way, do join us as well Sunday afternoon. The commentary on Italy-Wales from 5 o'clock will be live from Rome. Here is Shaw playing it up towards Kane, curls a pass here to the right-hand side to Reece James, gets the ball down. Scotland are quickly back in position. Only Adams left up front. James can do nothing other than just angle it back towards Rice. Now to Luke Shaw. Shaw uses Grealish out there on the left-hand side. Mount makes a run. Grealish now, little ball into the area to Sterling, then back outside the box to Grealish. Grealish weaving the ball away from Billy Gilmore, then gives it to Shaw. Now Mount with a touch. Mount back to Shaw. Could open up here, but Shaw blazes the ball across the face of goal. Nowhere near Harry Kane, waiting outside the 6-yard box. All the way through for a Scotland goal kick at the end, where Pat Nevin is just behind the advertising boards. But England are going to make a change, Pat.
Yeah, and yes, Marcus Rashford, seeing from a distance, he's going to come on. And his pace just now is going to be big, because I've got Grant Hanley standing about 20 yards away from me, and he is breathing so heavily. He's exhausted at the moment, and I suspect Gareth Southgate spotted that and thought, take Harry Kane off, get the pure pace of Rashford on just now. And that's a great decision. That makes perfect sense. I'm sure Chris will understand and agree with that as well, because
I think he should have been on. I think he should have been on 15 minutes ago. England looked really flat. You've got to be very proud of Scotland today, Pat. They've been excellent. I know you're saying Billy Gilbert, but you can't fault the player. They've all done the job.
You cannot. I think they've been absolutely exceptional. However, you're right. They're running out of gas. There's a couple of changes they had to make. I don't think they can make changes at the back because they've done so well.
I know.
However, up front, they need a little bit more energy.
Yeah, I agree with it.
OK, Rashford is on for Harry Kane. Pat Nevin says that makes sense. The England captain substituted with less than 20 minutes to go. Makes sense, Chris Waddle?
Yeah, I think, the game against Croatia, I thought the weather might have affected a lot of the players, and he did look very leggy then. But tonight, obviously, it's been raining, it's cooler, and he's looked leggy again. So, he's had a hard, long season, Harry Kane, we know that, but he does look if he's feeling the pace.
All the stars are out tonight, Chris. David Beckham's here. The cameras have found Sir Alex Ferguson, who's up in the stands somewhere with his face mask on as the ball bounces into the England area, and Jordan Pickford just allows it to bounce up and past him for a goal kick. I had a chance to speak to Scott McTominay yesterday, and I said, when was the last time you spoke to Alex Ferguson about this game? And he said, well, to be honest, he hasn't been in touch about this match, but you couldn't keep him away, and it's still 0-0, and it's England bringing the ball forward with Grealish on the left-hand side. Challenges come in, one, then another one. Grealish goes down. It's another free kick.
Scotland sub.
And Scotland are going to make their first change now before England take this free kick. And just wait for the board to go up, and it is Billy Gilmore who's coming off. So what about this change, Pat?
Yeah, well, it actually physically hurts to watch Billy come off. He's been absolutely brilliant in this game. Gets another handshake with the referee, which he got one of them over in Porto as well. But he's put himself to such a shift there. He's passed it brilliantly. He's held together and controlled large parts of this game from that midfield area. But you can understand there is tiredness in this. You want a bit of energy in there. And Stuart Armstrong's done a magnificent season for Southampton, so a good, strong replacement.
Yep, coming on to win his 27th cap, Stuart Armstrong. And it means now you've got the two Southampton men on the field, Armstrong and Adams for Scotland. England 0, Scotland 0. BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. The Daily Euros podcast will be on the way in the morning. There's a brand new That Peter Crouch Euros podcast out today as well via BBC Sounds. And England have the ball with Pickford in front of their own penalty area. Mings, long and left-footed, up towards the edge of the box. Rashford gets into the action for the first time. Mount trying to reach the header back to him, can't do so. Dykes, who had that shot cleared off the line by James. That is the closest we've come to a goal in the second half. Mings heads it out to the far side. Adams is onto this for Scotland. O'Donnell is there, tries to play it in towards the edge of the box to Stuart Armstrong, involved for the first time, but Calvin Phillips was in, cleared it away, gave it back to Pickford. Comes back at England on the edge of the area. A couple of fortunate ricochets. Tierney, Robertson takes it off. Tierney, Robertson's ball in, that's dangerous, comes off the head of Stones to the back post, and it's blazed wide by Adams near the corner of the right of the 6-yard box on the right side of the penalty area, and he really snatched at it, lashed at it, hit it well.
Well, it's not an easy chance, let's be honest. It's a flick on and it's a hard volley. It's a very difficult skill at the angle he's at. Maybe if he take a little bit off it, he's trying to really lash it and it's gone off the outside of his foot and high into the Scotland fans.
Latest in the Rugby League, the 5 Live Sports Extra commentary match. Wigan 8, Hull KR 18, and Huddersfield 8, Salford 9. 0-0 here at Euro 2020 at Wembley Stadium. It's turning into a tense finale here. Still waiting for the opening goal. Sterling turns against Armstrong. Sterling into the box now, turns again, full 360 degrees. Still going Sterling to the byline on the right-hand side. Oh, he goes down, Robertson there, and Sterling goes down. And I must say, with the naked eye, there didn't seem to be much contact there at all. And Sterling's ended up on the ground. Robertson, the Scotland player, just walks away from him.
This could be a VAR one. Listen, Sterling's he thinks he's touched him, but no, actually Sterling's foot goes into the back of Robertson. Robertson puts his foot down and he kicks the back of him, so...
Seemed to clip his own legs together.
That's not 10, and I wouldn't book them neither, though.
Well, they've spoken about it. Raheem Sterling suggested that it should go to VAR. I'm sure that referee Lahoz was talking to VAR, and they will have looked at it, and they've decided that it doesn't need to be looked at any longer. Play's back underway. England 0, Scotland 0. That was at the end of the ground where Pat Nevin is. We'll go to Pat in a moment, but Scotland bringing the ball through the middle. Just over 10 minutes to play. It's heading for a point apiece. Robertson, though, racing forward again for Scotland. They have posed problems, created chances against Czech Republic. And here they are playing with Adams just outside the box. Robertson's available on the left-hand side. Robertson's ball in, took a deflection, but Pickford did well. It took a wicked deflection, actually. Skipped up, but Pickford very secure.
They've stepped in well and played some nice football, Scotland, haven't they? They've been... you can't fault any Scotland player today. They've all turned up and they've put a massive shift in. And that was it was a dangerous one for Pickford to pick up.
Yeah, Luke Shaw wins a free kick, so we can hear from Pat.
Yeah, just very quick. That argument for a penalty kick there, Raheem was very clever. He just stopped and waited for the hit, and the referee's got that one right. Can understand there was contact, but there's no doubt in my mind that was not a penalty kick.
Here's Rashford taking the ball down the right, winning a throw-in. In fact, conceding a throw-in. Came off Rashford in the end. Just next to Raheem Sterling at the weekend on Sunday here. Raheem Sterling scored his first goal at a major tournament. Marcus Rashford still waiting for his first goal at a major tournament, incidentally. It's his 43rd cap tonight, the Manchester United man. He's through the middle now with Sterling on the right and Grealish on the left. Scotland. Phillips heads the ball forward, but Hanley just volleys it away into the centre circle. Rice heads it forward, Grealish nods it on, Rashford gets the ball down, he's against Hanley. Excellent challenge from Hanley. He stepped in there, Hanley. Rashford was very nearly away from him, but Hanley got the ball. And now Scotland bring it forward. Armstrong, Adams on the left-hand side. Phillips comes in with the challenge. Then it's played square. McGregor's there. McGregor back to McGinn. McGinn on his left foot, tries a shot, took a deflection. So it fly away above the bar and wide of the goal, but it's a corner.
Are we going to see a late goal? It's coming into the last, 9-10 minutes, and Scotland have not eased up. When they get the ball, they've attacked England, they've had a go at them, they've created some good chances.
Well, remember the late drama the last time they met at Hampden in the qualifier, the World Cup qualifier back in 2017, when we had the late 2 Lee Griffiths free kicks and then the very late equaliser from Harry Kane. Still 0-0 here at Wembley. Armstrong's going to take this corner for Scotland from the left-hand side, so an in-swinger from the Southampton man, who steps forward again. Lots of movement in the box. The referee blows the whistle. Armstrong's corner, deep to the back post. Mings gets up and wins that header for England powerfully. Grealish, deep inside his own half, plays it back to Pickford. Pickford, long, left-footed, up through the middle. Rashford nowhere near getting to that. That's headed forward for Scotland. And England take possession again. Calvin Phillips. Phillips out to the far side. Shaw has to step back, quick steps, heads it infield. Rice now. Rice moving from left to right, but has to roll the ball to the right to James. James has a look. There's Sterling, Rashford, Mount on the edge of the penalty area. Back to Declan Rice again in the 83rd minute now. 6:06 on the way. For your thoughts on this? 08085 909 693 to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton about it. James plays it into Sterling near the edge of the box. Excellent defending again, strong from it was McGinn with Sterling, and now Armstrong is able to run the ball away for Scotland. Checks back, plays it centrally. Robertson coming through the middle for Scotland, and the captain plays it back to McTominay. McTominay nearer the centre circle. McGinn takes it on his left foot, then flicks a pass to Tierney. Armstrong again.
There's no energy in England. Look, they can't get the ball back. They look flat. Whether that game against Croatia took it out of them or what, they just do not look fresh. They all look very leggy.
He's only made 2 changes though, Gareth Southgate. Can make 5, remember. Armstrong, Robertson plays the ball across. There's going to be another Scotland change coming in a moment. That'll be Steve Clarke's second. McTominay has a little look goalwards, gives it to O'Donnell on the right. McTominay has continued his run down into the full-back position, but Grealish got there first, comfortably ahead of Scott McTominay, and it's played up towards Rashford. Rashford beaten in the air though by Hanley. Scotland have got it back. They're threatening to finish strongly here, Steve Clarke's team. McGregor chips the ball. It's behind Robertson, who allows it to bounce up into his chest, and then back it goes into his own half. I'm sure they'll be feeling the tension out there tonight. Such an occasion to play on the nerves this evening. Whistles from the England fans because it's Scotland in possession. Ball taken on down the right-hand side, and O'Donnell breaking forward does win the free kick. He was sent flying. Mings was the England player who put in the challenge. O'Donnell was sent sprawling across the Wembley turf. And the referee is just waving Mings away. It's a free kick, that's all.
Here's the sub.
Here's the substitute. So Scotland, the player coming off is Shea Adams. And
Nisbet, is it?
And it's Kevin Nisbet waiting to come on. The Hibs man, top scorer for Hibs this season. Only Hudson Edouard scored more goals in the Premiership than the Hibs man. While they make that change, Pat Nevin?
Yeah, kind of happy to see that. Specialist subject, obviously, Hibernian. And he has had a fantastic season this season. Just a natural goal scorer. Won't actually necessarily create a lot himself. However, give him a chance between those sticks, and he's as likely as anyone else in this field right now to score a goal.
So it could be late drama late on Friday evening here at Wembley Stadium at Euro 2020. The match still poised at 0-0. Robertson with the free kick, which is played over everyone and into the penalty area, and it's picked up on the bounce by Jordan Pickford.
I don't get that. It's a decent ball in. It bounces 12, 13 yards out, and not one Scotland player goes and attacks it.
England with the ball inside their own half. So Nisbet is on, the number 19. Shea Adams did well, actually, particularly in the first half. Shea Adams,
I think he's had a very good game, John. Very good.
Calvin Phillips for England. England supporters trying to urge the team on here to find the opening goal. That very first international, and remember this is the 100th competitive game between the sides, that finished 0-0. Shaw out there on the far side. Grealish now carrying it infield. He's been snapped away at by O'Donnell, and still going. He's brought down in the centre circle, Jack Grealish. The referee stopped play, but England are playing on, and it's a yellow card for O'Donnell for that.
It has to be, doesn't it? I mean, he's just chased him, he's fouled him, not just once, 2 or 3 times. Deserves the yellow for that.
He was like a man on the mission there. There was only one thing on the mind of Stephen O'Donnell, and that was bringing Jack Grealish down wherever it took place. And Jack Grealish, I think he's already the most fouled man on the field, and he only came on as a substitute, Grealish, in the 63rd minute. 0-0. Pickford's going to take this one through the middle. Pickford. Here it is, the delivery from the free kick from inside his own half. Dykes is underneath it though and heads it away, and the ball bounces out of play into the hoardings, just down to the right of where sitting here, staring almost right down the halfway line. James with the throw for England. Takes it to Stones, who comes close, and then James back into his own half to Declan Rice. Shaw now on the left-hand side. Rashford makes a run. No Harry Kane on the field anymore now, though, for England. There'll be no dramatic goal from him at the end of this England-Scotland match. McGinn inside his own half. Shaw quite tight on him. McGinn goes down. It's a free kick.
Yeah, it does well there. McGinn shields the ball, works it, gets a free kick, slows the game down. A few minutes left. Two minutes, I think.
Yep, 2 minutes to go. We are now into the 89th minute. Flower of Scotland booming out from our left. Saltire is being waved in the stands at Wembley, and Scotland with the free kick, struck long towards Dykes by McTominay. Dykes takes it down, but the whistle's gone for handball by the Scotland number 9. Free kick for England. Pickford waiting to take this. Still waits. Uses his gloves, points to each side of his head, and Pickford gesturing downfield. Still waiting to take it. Left-footed, drives his foot through it. Rashford trying to get underneath it. He's beaten by his clubmate McTominay, and then Declan Rice. Looked as though that might have been a free kick against Declan Rice. Nothing given, and the ball bounces out of play for a throw-in to Scotland in their deep inside their own half. No immediate sign of any further England substitution. I think that might be it, Chris.
I can't believe it. I'm sorry, but England have been absolutely flat. Let's be honest, from the first 10-15 minutes you could see what the game was going to be like. Scotland were right up for it. Amazing energy levels, concentration, fitness has been brilliant. England looked flat, and really you should have spotted that and thought early second half I'm putting 3 or 4 on. They've been flat, England.
Well, that'll definitely be one of the questions I will ask Gareth Southgate later when we hear from him live, either before the end of 5 Live Sport or into 6:06. And if you miss it there and all of the other player interviews, you'll hear them on the 5 Live Daily Euros podcast. Here is Sterling on the right-hand side. Sterling plays it infield towards Rashford. Back to Rice again. England, who've won their last 3 matches by 1-0. This is still 0-0. Phillips plays it square towards Mings. Mings to Mount.
2 minutes of extra time.
2 minutes to be played. We're into that now. There are only 2 minutes of this match to go. Grealish, little ball to the edge of the area. That's blocked away. It comes out to Dykes. England put in the challenges. Phillips, Mount plays it square. Rice is onto this. Has a look goalwards. Plays it to James on the right-hand side. James's ball across. Rice is in there. Marshall comes out, the ball's still rattling around, it's not been cleared, and now it's cleared away by McGinn on the edge of the 6-yard
free
box.
kick anyway.
And the free kick is given Scotland's way, and David Marshall, the goalkeeper, actually hugs Andy Robertson, and there are congratulations going on amongst 3 or 4 or 5 Scotland players in their own penalty area, and Pat Nevin down there is only a few yards away from it.
I'm only a few yards away from that, but there's 7 players all diving in towards that ball there. I'm convinced the referee's given a scrum. It's unbelievable. It's madness going in there. The goalkeeper Marshall dives over about 4 different players. That bit actually looked like the NFL. Scotland were lucky there, managed to smash it away, and it would have been sad and I think unfair had they lost a goal right at the death there.
Yes, well, I was curious to know why Mark Chapman had come this evening dressed as an NFL coach. Now I know. But it was like a scrum down. And remember earlier this year, Scotland's rugby union players won in London at Twickenham. That was almost like history repeating itself. England 0, Scotland 0. Deep in added time, Grealish attacking the Scotland penalty area, but then playing the ball towards the far side. It's kept in play by Rashford over there. England still coming forward. Only seconds left. Grealish uses Rashford. Then back to Grealish again. Grealish into the penalty area now. Scotland defenders all round him. Grealish still going, looking for support. Still going Grealish, and then touches it back to Mings. Mings then back to his Aston Villa teammate, but the pass was firmly hit. Far too firmly hit. It bounces off Grealish, and there it is. This keenly anticipated England-Scotland clash here at Wembley at Euro 2020 in 2021 has ended as a goalless draw, 0-0, just like the very first meeting all those years ago in 1872. But it means that Scotland are off the mark. They've got their first point at a major tournament for 23 years, and England move on to 4 points in the group.
Well, Scotland probably think they deserve to win. I thought they were the better team by far. England looked flat. Yes, he had a couple of good chances with John Stones, Mason Mount maybe first half, and a couple of scrambles in the box saying, but they did not do enough, and they did not deserve to win this game. I think Scotland can be very pleased with the way they performed tonight. They showed everything what you need of a football team, and they'll feel very disappointed because they had 2 or 3 great chances as well.
So there we are then, Pat Nevin, a goalless draw.
Am I allowed to say I'm incredibly proud of those players there? They were absolutely phenomenal, start to finish. Not just the bravery, of putting in the tackles, but the bravery of everybody wanting the ball as well. Standing up to players who are, a lot of them are world-class players, but Scotland did not look phased at any point in time there. And as Chris was saying there were periods of time where Scotland were the better footballing side, and I don't want to pick out any. You hate to pick out players in this sort of situation because it was a team effort as well. You can learn a lot from what's going on behind me here. The England fans are leaving, and they're kind of applauding a wee bit, but kind of leaving quietly. And you look at the Scotland squad fans up the other side, and they're dancing, they're singing, they're getting the fans, the players to come over beside them. They're roaring them on just now, and it is a brilliant moment for them. It's only a point, but it's a massive point, because Scotland wanted to come here and become competitive at this level. You're not going to argue after that they're anything other than competitive at this level. And to quote a line from 4 Weddings and a Funeral, is it raining? I hadn't noticed.
Well, the reaction of the people in the stands tell you everything. The England supporters, many of them have actually left. Harry Kane is down there. We'll certainly talk about him. Came off as a substitute. He's got his England hoodie on. He's leading the players around. But the Scotland players, they're there in the stands, the Tartan Army, to say well done for getting a point at Wembley. It's finished England 0, Scotland 0, and Mark Chapman is here with us.
Well, you could just see the difference between the two sides and the contrast in the reactions to their fans at the moment. I mean, Chris Waddle, we were here on Sunday at Wembley. The whole of the England squad went round Wembley in the sunshine applauding their fans. At the end of that game, I'd say maybe half the squad are there, and in the main they're sort of in the middle of the pitch and doing half-hearted applause to the few fans that remain. As John Murray and Pat said, the whole of the Tartan Army are still here. They're not going anywhere, and the whole of the Scotland squad are there and showing their appreciation to their fans, and they deserve to appreciate each other after that.
Oh, I think they were excellent tonight, Scotland. All right, they didn't put the ball in the net and they didn't win the game, but apart from that, you cannot fault them. Any of that team. The subs come on, they were marvellous. They showed energy, they passed the ball well, they had movement, they closed England down. England didn't really enjoy it. England's used to playing against teams like Croatia who drop off and let them have the ball. Give Scotland credit, they pressed them, and when they got it, they didn't just think, we'll just sit and wait and keep stop. They went for a goal, and they had 2 or 3 good chances themselves. You've got to say, it's a draw, it's a point each, but Scotland will get all applauded. People will be saying how good Scotland were tonight, and they'll say how poor England were tonight.
I look down that Scotland side, Pat, and on my little screen here they've put the gold star next to Billy Gilmore, who gets star of the match, and I'm sure therefore he'll be doing some of the post-match interviews. But I look down all of them, and do you know what? I could mention each individual and something that they did in that game that stood out. All of them.
Yeah, and we've not got enough time because I'd go through every one of them and tell you one apart from every single one of them. I did mention Billy Gilmore when he went off. You've just watched a player walk on for an international team there and stood in the middle of the park, and when he walked off after 82 minutes, was it, you realise he will be in every single team from now on for probably the next 10 years that Scotland play. He is that good, he is that controlled, and Scotland are that much better when he's playing, and that takes nothing away from all the other players around them. The battling, I mean
can I throw 2 in, Pat? Can I throw 2 in?
Go on.
Because you're a purist and I'm a big lump, right? So Grant Hanley in the second half dispossessed Marcus Rashford, And when Grant Hanley must have been absolutely shattered and Rashford was fresh, and the way Hanley chased him and dispossessed him was fantastic. And for the 90 minutes of work rate of Lyndon Dykes, I just want to throw him in there as well, because he never ever stopped, and that was as much his work off the ball actually as the threat he caused in the air.
I would argue Scotland's, he was actually mirrored by Dykes. I would say if it wasn't Gilmour getting man of the match, I would give it Dykes as well. Just with the fact that he bullied top international players. He's won just about every single header. He's chased everything down. He didn't actually seem to lose energy at any point during the game as well. I mean, you've got somebody doing that up front. Chrissy will tell you this as well. See when your striker's doing that and chasing everybody down, everyone behind thinks, yeah, I'm having a bit of that. Straight up behind him, closing down as well. Yeah, so absolutely, I'm not disagreeing with you for a second. And I put my hand up doing the commentary for 5 Live with the Scotland game against Czech Republic. I didn't realise, and I've been watching him for years, Grant Hanley was that good. I really didn't. And I spotted it in that game. He's quicker than I thought he was, but also concentration. And they often do. I often say centre-halves don't get to their best until they're 30. Well, there's no doubt Grant Hanley is playing among the best football of his career, so I would agree with every word you say there, chappers.
Thank you, Pat. You would also say, Chris, as well, in the second half, it felt like the more threatening moments, and there weren't very many, but the more threatening moments came from Scotland. And I'm not necessarily talking about creating out-and-out chances, just when they got into the final third, you thought they might do something with it.
Yeah, I did. I totally agree. They were carried a massive threat, and when they went forward, you did think. And I said to Pat, and we've said all along, the problem with Scotland is scoring goals. They do create chances. They've scored good ones tonight, and you can say they're a bit unlucky on a couple of them rather than they missed them. But I don't know. England just played so slow. They didn't have any ideas. The two midfield guys, Rice and Phillips, who were great against Croatia, breaking the play up, and they were second best tonight. You've got to say Scotland dominated the midfield as well. So you've got to say it was a poor performance by England tonight, and Scotland have just bossed them.
In this era that we're in at the moment, the socially distanced post-match interviews are all taking place on the far side in front of the Tartan army. So I mean there is very little chance of interviewee being able to hear interviewer, and John Murray will be in the thick of that a little bit later on as we try and bring you some reaction. Jack Wilshere is back with us. Can you explain how slow and flat England appeared to be, Jack?
Not really, chappers. I felt it was a big chance for England to stamp their authority on this tournament in a big game that matters for the nation, and especially as well after the last performance. I thought they played well. It was a chance to build on that, but they just failed to get going, really. And that can happen. I was a little surprised that the manager didn't change it a little bit earlier or make a few more subs. But yeah, overall disappointed.
I think that will be the questions will come, won't they, post-match? Because and over the coming 24 hours, that if England were a bit leggy, if there were any after effects of playing in the heat against Croatia, you know, that's a decent, talented bench. We spoke at half-time that the bench could make the difference, and yet he only used 2 players off it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they'd have been leggy because, you know, they've played every 3 days for a long time in their career, so they're used to it. But in some games it can happen where, you know, credit to Scotland as well, they were brilliant, and maybe England didn't expect them to be that good, but they were good. They kept the ball, they made England work to win possession back, and sometimes that can happen, and it can just not be going your way, and sometimes you just need to freshen it up, and I felt we could have done that a little bit earlier.
At pitchside, do you think England was surprised by Scotland, Pat? I mean, when you could see the players' faces close up, could you gauge anything?
Well, they've been warned enough. There's plenty of us that have been warning them, saying that there's going to be a battle, there's going to be a fight, you better be 100%, and if you're at 100% you probably win. They were